I guess all that's left to do is pray that God saves us.
That's it, Mom. We have to talk to God.
Lisa, what are you doing? It's not safe out there.
I'm gonna use my Buddha hand powers to build a tower to heaven out of Springfield buildings. Then we can get to the only authority who outranks Matt Groening, God.
Welcome into episode 27 of Lee Carvallo's Potting Challenge, a Simpsons gaming podcast that looks at all the highs and lows of the Simpsons tie-in video games, plus all the metatext and religious texts, that shaped them. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy.
As God himself said, just because I'm a gamer doesn't mean I'm not cool. I'm Derek.
And today we are wrapping up our coverage of The Simpsons Game, as we mentioned in our part 1. It was released on October 20th, 2007, on pretty much every console available at the time, including the DS, and then just a few days later on November 5th on the PSP. And at this point in time, we have finished it. We played the game, we watched the movie, we finished the game. Derek, how does this game feel? Weird question to start with. How does this game feel in connection with the movie? I know it's not connected to the movie, but like there's a weird kind of like piece of this game that feels weirdly connected to the movie, again because it was part of it was to their hope was to boost DVD sales.
Yeah.
So like they're kind of intrinsically connected a little bit. Now that you've played it and we watched the movie again, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I wasn't expecting this question, actually. I don't know. Funny enough, even though we literally did a whole episode on the movie, I hadn't really given much thought to that, which maybe is the answer to that question, that I just don't, I mean, not obviously it's not the same plot as the movie, and that's fine. But I think it doesn't feel the same to me at all. Like I don't feel like I relate them two together at all. It doesn't feel like the same sort of humor. It doesn't feel like, I don't know. It doesn't even feel like it's from the same time period. Like the connective tissue for me isn't there. So I guess as a tie-in to the movie, it's a failure on that part. Everything that I can think of is very much just this game as it stands alone on its own.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And to be clear, like, it's not necessarily a tie-in to the movie, right? Like, that's not like the sole purpose of why the game exists, but like, it is kind of hard to like think about one without thinking about the other. And I mean, you're right. Like, it feels like they're both just so distinctly their own thing.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like they both handle the idea of trying to get the Simpsons back into the cultural consciousness differently. Like we talked about this in the last couple of episodes that we've done, that a big part of this no, that's more than a mush. There's like, well, I guess it's kind of a mush of marketing stuff. A big part of this push of doing the movie and then doing this big, huge game at the same time. And on the big marketing blitz around both of those things was, because the Simpsons had been around for a while at that point and was, losing a lot of steam in the cultural consciousness. And this was a big way to sort of regain interest in it and sort of regain a lot of goodwill and hopefully bring back a lot of audiences. And I think the movie succeeded in that regard. Obviously, it was a huge hit, like we talked about, and a lot of people really liked it. But I think the approaches that both the movie and the games take or the game takes is very different. Like the movie, it's just trying to make a big, huge, like blockbuster event for people. The game is a lot more about references and trying to like appeal to people who have been with The Simpsons for a long time. The movie doesn't really, maybe to its credit, doesn't really pack in really references to the show. It's very much its own thing. Like it's not referencing the popular, it's not doing throwbacky stuff and referencing the popular, memes or whatever, or things that would become memes and stuff like that. This game absolutely 100% is. And I don't know if there's a better or worse approach to that. It's just two very different approaches to how you try to appeal to Simpsons audiences.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that, when we talked about the movie a little bit, one of the things that we had mentioned was like there were ideas, I think, at some point bandied about it being like a little bit metatextual with it. And you do have a little bit of that, right? Like with,
for sure.
How the movie opens and then the closing credits and stuff like that. But like they were very specific about like they didn't want, of course, the canon, quote, Simpsons to be, too self-referential and too metatextual. Whereas like the game, because it's not canon, can do that. And I actually think I have a lot of qualms about this game, and we'll talk about them in a second, because I think a lot of my issues sort of clear up. There's some stuff that happens in the second half of the game where I'm just kind of like question mark, whatever. But also like I have an issue with the first half of the game now, having completed the game because of what I know the game could be. But I think that like the meta-ness of it actually works really well when it is like firing on all cylinders, like for this game.
I think,
and
so
I think that's something that like maybe was, I mean, the movie, we agree, I think is still fun to watch, but it, we talked about some of the issues that the movie has. I think that's maybe something that could have helped the movie a little bit, is having like being a little more self-referential some of the times. Yeah,
which I don't always say that for things like that, because sometimes that can just get a little bit too like circle jerky in a way, when it's just like things are just, I mean, that's what a lot of movies, especially now, do. Like a lot of legacy sequels are just like, what if you just remember the ones that you liked when you were a kid? And, I do think the Simpsons movie actually does a good job of not doing that. And I have a feeling that probably the second movie will probably do more of that, and you will see more references to memes, and they'll do some steamed ham sequel or some shit, just because of the way that movies are made now, so yeah, so it's interesting, but so it's interesting to think like, I don't know, man, maybe you could have done a little more, because The Simpsons is good at at being self-referential often, and yeah, I think the sort of metatextual element of this game is probably the best element of it in terms of making it stand out and feel really unique to any other Simpsons game that we've gotten so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think another place where I think the two are a little aligned in my mind is that like there is an element where like, whereas like the movie had like probably too many writers working on it.
Yes.
This probably needed like another couple passes, I think, at the script.
Yeah, there's definitely points when it's just like, oh, you were like, you could have really streamlined some of this narrative, and I think that it is just kind of, there's some like back and forth stuff, and I think and pacing stuff that's a little weird, and I think it is just in part because it's like, well, games these days have to be really long, so instead of having the first time Simpsons characters go into the internet be the beginning of the internet section where they go into different games, we have to have Bart and Lisa do it first, then leave, then you have Treehouse of Horror references, then you have Alien Invasion stuff, and then they all go back into the internet. Now that's the internet section of the game. It really does feel like they just needed the game to be long, because games in 2007 were long.
Well, and it's really not that long of a game though, still. Like even still,
yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned 2007. We're going to talk a little bit about 2007, and like when I think about like, some of the like long, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Mass Effect comes out this year. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to talk about long games? That's like a 30-hour game. You finished the Simpsons game in like 6 hours. Like
that's true. It's not long, but I guess it needed to be longer than what it would have been with the light story that they have here.
Well, and I think that's where I think probably having another pass at the script to streamline, like you could probably fix a lot of those things by like, you really don't need like some of the early like Springfield levels. Like you can do it for, the sake of like really acclimating the characters to it, or cut out those middle like Treehouse of Horror episodes.
Yeah,
like,
or
levels.
Integrate them. I think they could have integrated them differently. I
Yes.
think that in the idea of this game trying to offer a little bit of everything for being the Simpsons game,
Yes.
I do think it makes sense that they wanted to have a Treehouse of Horror segment
Uh-huh.
referencing that. They wanted to still have a substantial amount of time in regular Springfield because people do like that, and also get to all the video game parodies that they do later in the game. I do like that about this game, that it's kind of a smorgasbord of everything Simpsons in it, and they kind of nail the things that I think should be in this game if you're doing that. It's the order of it, I think, is just a little bit weird, and it throws the pacing off a bit.
Yeah. I think the everything aspect of it, you're right on the money, where it's like they really just they wanted to be able to do everything. And I do think that there is an element that like one of the elements of this game that is really fun, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, is when it like kind of directly parodies other types and styles of games.
Yeah. Yep.
They just don't have enough time to do enough of that in the game. Like you have like so few times when that happens, but those are some of my favorite parts of the game, when like it turns into just like a turn-based RPG all of a sudden. And it happens like literally 3 times for like maybe a total of like 5 minutes. Like,
but it's great. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. Like, but I also am like, could they have done more with that? Like, I feel like they probably could have.
Yeah. The balance is a little bit off for the stuff that's kind of the best part of the game. And I wonder if some of it too is like they were worried about going too deep into some of the parodies of other types of games because they didn't want to lose people too much. Like they're sort of like if we spend too much time away from the game we've established, is that going to alienate people and make them drop the game rather than them enjoying it? I think that if they're thinking that, they're wrong, because those, like, I agree with you, those are the best parts of the game, but we'll get to it.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into talking about and chewing on the game fully, let's talk a little bit about the gaming landscape at the time. And I mean, this is 2007, right? We talked a little about this. This is the year that we both go to college. So it's like personally, like it's a little bit of a weird time for us, but also like in terms of the culture of gaming and gaming years, like I can't remember what episode we talked about it on, and we mentioned like this might have been one of the greatest years in video gaming ever. 2007, I think we give that year a run for its money, and I think a lot of people point at 2007 as like one of the greatest years in gaming, period, right? Sure. I mean, 2006, the Wii first releases in North America, right? So like this 2007 is like the first full year of like the Wii's life cycle in the US. So like huge thing there. You also get like just some, I mean, this is just a quick list of some of the games that released in 2007. God of War 2, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas, Metroid Prime 3, Skate, Final Fantasy Tactics, The War of the Lions, which I'm just going to say now, I think that's my favorite Final Fantasy game.
Oh, really?
I'm just going to call it. Yeah. I love Tactics.
That's cool.
Guitar Hero 3 and Rock Band, and then a couple other lesser known games known as Gears of War, Halo 3, BioShock, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Mass Effect, Half-Life 2, Episode 2, Team Fortress 2, Portal, Super Mario Galaxy, and The Orange Box. Like,
yeah,
what a murderer's row.
I mean, it's like so many franchises, like major gaming franchises, started this year, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
What year did the Xbox 360, the Wii, and PlayStation 3 each come out, like in relation to 2007?
So PlayStation 3 drops as well in 2006, actually. I think they all actually come out in 2006.
Okay.
No, sorry. The Xbox 360 comes out in 2005.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that was that old, actually. That's funny. I thought
Yeah.
I mean, not that that's that different, but like 2 years is a significant difference for console releases.
For sure. Yeah. But the PS3 comes out in Japan November 2000. Actually, releases in Japan and North America on the same day, or the same month, November 2006. And then again, the Wii comes out in 2006 in North America as well.
Okay. So, I mean, and this is my lack of in-depth knowledge in like gaming as an industry in general, but like, does that feels like that makes sense to me, that like once the next gen of consoles have been established. They've been out for long enough that the kinks have been worked out and developers know more what they're working with than all of the big titles that they have been working up to for this next gen actually comes out. So what does kind of make sense, I'm assuming that's how it tends to work historically. I don't know if I'm totally off, but I feel like that makes sense that a couple of years, 1 to 2 years into the life cycle of this new generation of gaming, that's when all the things they've been working on get unveiled and they're all hit games because you're finally working to the optimal capacity of what these systems can do.
No, I think that's totally spot on. Like in a lot of stuff too, like you think about like Halo 3 coming out essentially like 2 years into the Xbox's life cycle. You know, I think there is like an element too of like that game probably was worked on the hardware like for a while. Like I don't think Halo 3 is a game that had like a short development cycle. I would be surprised to learn that, but I would just, guess that it didn't. So, I mean, yeah, you do also have like stuff that's probably like being worked on and yeah, some of the kinks being worked out. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's like, it is one of those things where, like into the life cycle, that's where some of the, like, it is like kind of like in that 1 to 2 year gap where it's like, okay, now like some of the bangers like really start hitting is when folks are really able to kind of like see into the hardware and like see what they are capable to do. I also should mention, I think I mentioned Pokemon Diamond. That actually drops in Japan the year prior, but does come to North America in 2007.
Oh,
so,
wow.
a little bit
there was still like a year gap back then. Imagine nowadays
Americans
having to wait a fucking year for that Pokemon game to come out. People would be so fucking like people would be rabid about that shit. God.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, 2007 is like a year I think I remember pretty vividly in gaming, and I wanted to start kind of this section and our conversation. Like, what are some things that like stand out to you when you think about 2007 in gaming? Some of those games I just mentioned, any of the stuff like around gaming, like at that time that really sticks out to you?
I mean, this was a tough question for me because I didn't get any of these next gen consoles until after 2007.
Sure.
So the actual year 2007, I think the year 2007, I was racking my brain to see if I could like associate like things that were happening in life to what games I would be playing on my old consoles. Cause all I would have had at the time would have been a PlayStation 1 and a Game Boy Advance. And then anything else would be like stuff that I watch my friends play or borrow from my friends. 2007, I'm pretty sure was the year that I played Final Fantasy VII for the first time. Like 10 years late.
Oh, that's so funny.
10 years late. Everyone else is like getting their unveiling their PlayStation 3s and shit. And I'm here getting like, oh my God, Sephiroth killed Aerith. Oh my God. Like that's where I'm at in 2007. But I think I got it my Xbox 360, I think in 2008, I think maybe. And then I caught up so a lot of the games that I did play immediately were these games that came out in 2007.
Yeah.
And there were ones that I was exposed to. Like I remember seeing you and probably Cast 2 playing the first Mass Effect game before I actually played it and being like, this game looks fucking sick. And then I played it, a year or two later. Mass Effect was a big one for me because that's, I think, my favorite game series period now.
Yeah.
But so I came like maybe a year or so late to it, but that's the thing that sticks out the most to me. But BioShock, it was a big one as well. I played that all BioShock things that have released, and I really loved that first game a lot. But especially the Orange Box was a big thing for me. I think that
my God.
That was the first game that I bought when I got my Xbox 360 and played the shit out of it. I think I'd already played Team Fortress 2 like with you and other friends at the time.
Yep.
So that was my introduction to the Orange Box, but Half-Life 2 fucking blew me away. Like and again, coming to that game so late by like 2008 or whatever. But that game fucking blew me away. For a long time I called that my favorite game. It's still one of my favorites of all time. And then obviously the episodes are on the Orange Box too. And then Portal as well is like just, you can't not love that game. So like Orange Box, huge for me.
What's inside the Orange Box? The best game of all time. Brain melting offbeat genius. The deepest multiplayer game of the year. Rated T2M.
A few other random ones, though. The Spider-Man 3 movie adaptation game was also one of the first games I bought for my 360.
Oh, yeah.
That also came out in 2007. Not a terrible game. Like, it's actually not, for a tie-in movie game, not bad. Tobey Maguire, terrible voice actor in video games. But other than that, pretty fun game, actually. And, like, Crackdown, I played a shit ton of that. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I actually was really into that game. I hate that I was that into that game, but I really enjoyed that game when I played it.
Okay. I'm just going to say this. Modern Warfare, originally, that game was fucking good. It was good. I played the hell out of it too.
Is that the one where you like shoot up an airport as at the opening, or is that one of the other ones?
Yes, I think that is that one.
I do think it's a deeply problematic game, to be clear, but it's fucking fun as shit.
Listen. I will posit. I think that the Modern Warfare or the Call of Duty games become problematic, and I think this is the first one that is quote unquote, because it's Modern Warfare. Once they become modern, I think that's when they become like super problematic, because before that it's all like, you know, World War II, like shooting up Nazis and shit. Like, you know, that's what all of those games were before you really get, not all of them, but like a lot of them were that until you get into like the Modern Warfare series. And it just like something changes, you know what I mean? When it like becomes like, oh, now you're fighting the war on terror, as opposed to fighting Nazis. Like,
yeah, you can imagine how there might be some, you know, interesting perspectives that those games might have that might reflect onto the real world, unfortunately.
But that's also like what all of them I feel like are now. Like there's no, I could, listeners, if there are World War II shooters, I'm sure there are still some World War II shooters. There's not a ton of them, right? So anyway. But no, I'm with you. I think I had the Modern Warfare Xbox edition. I had like the Modern Warfare Xbox. Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Because when I bought my Xbox, it was like a bundle, and I guess they still do bundles, but they don't do them quite in the same way they used to. But like it was like the same price as buying like a regular Xbox, and you get Modern Warfare with it. So wouldn't I? Yeah,
that's true. Why not? Yeah, you come in with a game that is like pretty fucking cool, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I also just want to call out Power Rangers Super Legends comes out this year, which is like that was the thing they were trying to do like as a 15th anniversary sort of thing. So it has a bunch of different Rangers across time and across seasons like participating in it, and some fun references and stuff. I don't love that game. I didn't play very much of it, but it was like one of the few attempts to do like a sort of crossover historical Power Rangers game. It was like the first time they'd really done one that wasn't just like one season of the show, but was like the whole universe, which is kind of cool. But in the fact that also came out in 2007, I think is just really interesting.
Yeah. It just a lot of really just cool stuff that happened. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me, and I mean, maybe you feel the same way about this too. I grew up, we both grew up in a rural county that didn't really have high-speed internet for like a really long time.
Yes.
So going to college was like probably my first experience with playing online games. Like really, I mean, I played online games like a little bit here and there.
Or like playing, I mean, the difference between playing, like having a little LAN party and like playing with your friends, split screen or something, versus actually playing with strangers on the internet.
Yes.
Yeah. It took me even longer because where I was living, I didn't have high-speed internet at all. And so it was even a few more years for me before I could really do that a lot, which is probably why I'm not super big of an online gamer, even like these days in general, because it's just like, I don't really even have nostalgia for it, honestly. But yeah, I do think, I mean, I have to imagine that probably was the case for a lot of people, because high-speed internet, like it was finally becoming, I think, even more of just a commodity by like this era of gaming. So it had to just increase exponentially, I imagine. But I don't really know the history of that kind of stuff, though. That is interesting.
I don't either, but I know that like at the time I went to college, I'm pretty sure we still had dial-up internet like at my house, and so
I don't think my family got anything high speed until like at least I don't think they got anything until maybe like 2010 2011, and even then it was like had a strict capper on it, like you could only get like a specific amount of gigs before you get overcharged for it. It's only been like in the past couple of years that I think my family, where they're living, have gotten just regular Wi-Fi in their house. And like crazy. It was like took to like 2024 2025. Isn't that crazy?
It's so wild.
Yeah.
It's so wild. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that led to like I had bought I played the hell out of the orange box because I bought my Xbox before going to college. I saved up. I was like working all over the summer and stuff, and I bought it. And I played one of the games I got was the orange box, and I played Half-Life, and I could never play Team Fortress 2 because like I didn't have internet, and it's just an online only game. And so getting to college and getting internet, I was like, well, we can fire this thing up and check it out, and it was a fun ass time. But yeah, some of the memories for me, like I said, I bought my 360 before going to college. That was something where I was like, well, I need to have a gaming console at college. Like I have to, save up for it. Late nights playing Mass Effect. I played I got my PSP. I feel like I got my PSP before I got my 360, but I don't actually remember. Maybe I got it after, but I remember distinctly finally playing Final Fantasy Tactics on that and being like, oh, this game rips. Like, this game is so good.
I've never played any of the Final Fantasy Tactics games, but I always hear really good things. Wasn't there just like a remake or remaster of one recently people were raving about?
The remaster is phenomenal. It's fully voice acted, and it's so good. I think if anybody is looking for a time to play Final Fantasy Tactics, get that and play it now, because it's also incredibly relevant today.
Interesting.
I owe you a debt of gratitude for rescuing the Marquis. I pray I am able to repay it, even a little, by aiding you in this.
How can you nobles live as you do and yet hold your head so high? We are not chattel. We are humans, no less than you. What flaw do you hold there to be in us? That we were born between a different set of walls? Do you know what it means to hunger? To sup for months on naught but broth of bean? While you wage your wars that you might grow fat, we are made to starve. You call us thieves, but it is you who steal from us the right to live.
You, no less human than we? Now there's a beastly thought. You've been less than we from the moment your base-born father fell upon your mother in whatever gutter saw you sired. You've been chattel since you came into the world, drenched in common blood.
By whose decree? Who decides such foul and absurd things?
'Tis heaven's will.
Heaven's will? You would pin your bigotry on the gods. No god would fain forgive such sin, much less embrace it. All men are equal in the eyes of the gods.
Men, yes, but the gods have no eyes for chattel.
Ramza, is this woman truly our enemy?
But yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too that was like pretty popular at the time was like Rock Band and Guitar Hero. Like, we have a Guitar Hero release in 2007. It was like Guitar Hero Legends of Rock, and I remember playing that in like dorm rooms and stuff like that. People getting like, having like the massive drum setups for like Rock Band and stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, you already mentioned two of them, like Portal being super in the zeitgeist, and then we have Gary's Mod, which technically Gary's Mod releases in 2006, but like still extremely important in the zeitgeist, like to the point where one of the most popular, I think probably the most popular YouTube series right now is, unfortunately, Skibbity Toilet is still made in Gary's Mod. Like,
yeah, it's always funny to like rock people's worlds when it's sort of like, hey, do you remember the game Half-Life? That's responsible for Skibbity Toilet, by the way.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Just weird stuff. Just some stats real quick in 2007. So the highest selling game console in 2007 is the DS. Like, it's still, selling gangbusters. The Wii is right behind it. The Wii also too, like the popularity of the Wii, I think people have forgotten a lot about today.
I don't have a lot of Wii experiences because I never had one, and most of my friends were like, gamer dudes on Xbox 360s and PS3s and shit. But the Wii was like the game that, or the Wii was the system that like even people who didn't care for video games had. Like, it is kind of incredible. People love those fucking remotes. It's so funny.
Yeah. I mean, to the point where the top selling video game in 2007 was Wii Sports.
Of course. Yeah. It's a fun time.
Worldwide, I should say. That was like the top selling game. In the US, of course, the top selling game is Halo 3.
It's so funny.
But then Wii Play is like right behind it. So it's not like it's a huge gap either.
Yeah.
Like the Wii is popular worldwide.
Totally.
It's not just like a Japan versus US thing. It is like everywhere. I actually think the Wii sells more in North America in 2007 than it does in Japan. So it can't be understated how popular and how much just a stranglehold the Wii had on
and it felt I think it felt very innovative at the time too.
Yep. Even like probably I would say more than the Switch when the Switch came out. Like I feel like it was probably more.
Oh, absolutely. Because people, you're like parents who didn't know video games were getting Wii because they could play. They could make their own cute little me and play some sports games on it. Like it's super easy to comprehend. Like. My parents are never going to get a fucking Nintendo Switch. Like that's never going to happen. They had a Wii. Like that wasn't my influence. They just like got one on their own one time and it shocked me. Yeah.
That's so funny. That is one thing I wish I had gotten my parents a Wii because I feel like they would have like loved it. But we never had I personally never owned a Wii.
No,
I had a GameCube and never had a Wii. But just some other top selling titles. Again, worldwide, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl any Pokemon game is going to be top selling. Halo 3 is the third top selling game worldwide, which is kind of wild. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is on that list. Brain Age 2, the Brain Age games were big too.
That's right. Yeah, because DS was really like, when did DS, was that the year that DS came out? That had already come out?
The DS had come out in 2005.
Oh, God.
Sorry,
okay.
2004.
Jeez.
So it's actually even older.
Wow. I was just so tapped out of gaming stuff completely. I had no idea any of this was happening. That's so funny.
But I mean, the thing about the DS is like there were also like iterations too. Like I don't know when like the big screen DS comes out. There's also like the DSi, like stuff like that.
I don't know anything about any of that stuff. I don't know shit about DSs at all.
But I mean DS, again, because Nintendo was like so known for handhelds and stuff like that, and like going from the GBA to the DS, and I think it also was innovative too because it had touchscreen. So that ended up being very popular. I had the first Brain Age game. I actually like kind of like want to go back and play some of it some of the times because I feel like I need to train my brain.
Oh my God, how long has it been? Honey, it's my old buddy David. We went to high school together. Honey, this is
Has this ever happened to you? Exercise your mind with Brain Age. Train your brain in minutes a day. By completing a few challenging exercises and puzzles, you can help keep your mind sharp. Also look for Big Brain Academy. Only for Nintendo DS. Rated E for everyone.
You got a brain age, Derek. It told you how old your brain is.
That seems scary. So that worries me a bit. I don't know that I'd want to know that.
You also held the DS sideways like a book.
Oh, that's cute.
So
I guess you could just read a book, but sure, that's fine too.
No, you had to play Brain Age. Yeah, I mean, so those are some of the top selling titles. We touched on a lot of the games that released that year that are pretty well regarded. Some of the ones we didn't mention: Super Mario Galaxy. For the longest time, that was like one of the highest like rated Metacritic games, I think.
Look, the title of the movie that just came out, so obviously very well-known, popular game.
Yeah, and then right below that, I mean, you have, the Orange Box is also like super high regarded. Again, Rock Band, Crisis. You remember Crisis being like a huge like deal, like when that came out because it was like Crysis was a like sci-fi like first person shooter, and it made such a big splash because it was released for PC, and the graphics were supposed to be like so next gen and so crisp, and like, you know, it was supposed to be like this graphical powerhouse of a game. I just remember it being like talked about so much, of like being able to have like a computer that could run Crysis and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Or like some of the memes, and
I have no memory of this whatsoever, so I guess I didn't care. Crysis with a Y?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
of course.
Sure. Whatever, man.
Yep. yep. And then just some other like I mean, it blows my mind. And part of it is because like of re-releases and stuff like that, but I also didn't realize the Uncharted series starts that year. Uncharted Drake's Fortune releases in 2007.
Yeah, that's fucking huge, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then a little thing known as Justin.tv launches in 2007. Do you know why Justin.tv is important?
Oh God, this sounds sounds familiar to me, but I can't pinpoint what it is.
So Justin.tv is, for all intents and purposes, it is what becomes Twitch.tv. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, that's probably why I like know the name, but interesting. Yep. Oh wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, so they start like they have like two different sections of, you know, and I don't know enough about the history of this, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but like there's basically like they start the website and they have like a section for like live stream stuff, and the game live stream stuff becomes like super popular, and then eventually, I don't remember at what time, it's probably like 2011 I think, where they eventually just like it all comes under like the Twitch umbrella, and there's like an official launch of like Twitch kind of stuff. But Justin.tv is like one of the first like big live streaming things.
That's so fascinating.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Just like inventing the future of video games in 2007 in general.
I mean, truly.
Yeah. I know you mentioned it, but just like Rock Band, like I know Guitar Hero had already been a thing, but like I do feel like Rock Band was a whole other escalation of that too. Like in Guitar Hero and Rock Band was still fucking huge and would continue to be huge for a while. I was talking to my sister and her husband actually about Rock Band, because like they're like she's like maybe like 7 years younger than I am, so like, you know, not like a totally different generation, but like a little bit. And so she was kind of like, they've been trying to get Rock Band, basically rebuy Rock Band like from eBay and stuff like that as a collection, because they like were sort of like, we never really like played it when we were kids, or like did a little bit, and like kind of like we're like nostalgic for a thing that they didn't really get to experience because it was more, I guess, like teenagers that were doing Rock Band and stuff at the time. And so they're like they like bought the Rock Band like drum set and like system to play it on and stuff like that recently, which is just like so funny to me. Like it's like it's like a retro tech thing now.
That's so funny.
Because they don't make like Guitar Hero Rock Band games anymore, other than like stuff you find in arcades, or like going to like a barcade or something that might have it.
Yeah.
That was just like so funny to me, because it was just kind of alien, because I'm sort of like, yeah, Rock Band was like so ubiquitous, like at the time for me. But I guess if you were like too young for it, or like your family didn't have it, or didn't have friends that had it, you're just like, you kind of like missed out on it. It's just so interesting.
That is so funny to me. It makes me, I mean, I think I got rid of like all my like rock. I never had Rock Band, but I did have the Guitar Hero like guitars and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure I just, you know, in a move like got rid of all of them, because I was like, it was one of those things where I was like, I'm never gonna fire up this game again. Like, you know, like. But because it was such an of the time thing to have like those, you know, peripherals, and it was like the natural progression too of like the DDR pad to the, you know, Guitar Hero guitar to the Rock Band drums. I know there's a game called Rocksmith now, but that's more, I think that is more intending to teach you how to play guitar, but it might be something for your sister to look into. Yeah, just as a thing, but. Yeah, I mean, 2007, it's such a weird time, because like there's also a part of my brain that still feels like that's where gaming, like, I don't know, like it feels like gaming hasn't like moved on past 2007 in a lot of respects.
A lot of these franchises are still major franchises, or things that are chasing these franchises and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah, just a wild year. I will note too, for the game that we're talking about, the Simpsons Game, it does make a best-selling chart in 2007. It was the 7th best-selling game in the UK, selling 734,000 units. So like, I think we've seen that in the past too. Like with a couple times Simpsons games will make the charts in like the UK or Australia and stuff like that, but not in the US.
Yeah, I mean, but it does really explain why it's not like a game that people like super talked about or remember very well, because it was just like the market was saturated with these huge things and people didn't need to go to like a licensed tie-in game because they had all of these huge like franchise starters, or the third game in a franchise and like that, like an established franchise. Like people were sort of paying attention to it, and like I was like, I didn't play it either. Like it wasn't a priority for me to play this because there was a million other games that like looked better. And I think the long history of Simpsons games, outside of a couple of them not being very good, I think makes people be like, why am I going to take a risk on that when I can just play BioShock or Half-Life 2 episode 2? Like, why would I bother with the Simpsons game? Like,
yeah. Do I want to play Halo 3 or the Simpsons game? I'm probably going to pick Halo 3 every single time.
I don't blame people for just being like, I don't know, whatever. I'll lower it on my priority list a little bit.
Yeah. The Simpsons Game does, though, get a few nominations for, best gaming and things like that. It received a best game based on a movie or TV show award at and here's a blast from the past for you, Derek, the 2007 Spike Video Game Awards.
Oh, Lord. Like Spike TV Spike?
Yeah.
Boy. G4 came up on a podcast recently that I was talking,
yeah.
It's just like, God, what an unfortunate era for video games in that regard, for the types of people who were talking about them and reporting of them and being the faces of them.
Yep.
I guess it's not that much. It's not better now. It's just different now, I guess.
Oh yeah. I would gladly go back to the G4 era if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah.
I think,
rather than like PewDiePie or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah.
I love that that's your pull. It's PewDiePie.
Doesn't he do isn't the thing he was popular for was stream games?
Yeah. But he also was around in 2007.
Wait, was he really? Okay,
I think so, yeah.
Man, I don't fucking... This is young
Mr.
people
Beast.
culture.
We'll say Mr. Beast.
But Mr. Beast isn't a video game guy, though. That's the thing. That's what I mean, is that I feel like the prominent faces and talking heads and like spokespeople for video game stuff are usually like streamer type people now, more than they are like reporters, which could be fine, except the streamers that are picked are usually like the worst people in the world. So
True. Nope, you're right. You're right. Although I will say we do. I think PewDiePie actually gets big around 2011, but he does actually begin in 2006.
Sure.
So, but I mean, but we also do have things like Markiplier. I mean, he's kind of cool and made a movie.
I'm not saying that there are no good video game personalities out there. It's just for some reason, gaming as a culture just attracts a lot of the worst people who get to have the loudest mouths, I guess.
Like God.
Like God. Yep.
Oh, well, anything else you want to talk about 2007?
No. Let's move on.
I think we've reminisced enough. Well, let's jump back into the game. Like I said, it does get nominated for a few awards. It also gets nominated for a Writers Guild Award for writing, which I think is cool, and I think actually it is pretty deserving of of that nomination. Maybe not winning, but I think there's good writing in this game,
absolutely,
and I think even with its faults, like there's a lot of really cool stuff they do.
This is a game that lives and dies on the actual dialogue in it, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And good Lord, is there a lot of actual dialogue in this game? Like, I don't think characters stop talking for more than a couple seconds in this game.
They don't.
So,
yeah.
And just as a quick recap, we mentioned this at the top and in our last episode, but this was the first game developed by EA. I actually don't think I mentioned it at the top, but this is an EA game. Of course, it is not the first published by EA. They publish, a handful of other Simpsons games, but they acquire the rights for this, and the EA Redwood Shores studio develops this for the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and then Rebellion Developments produces the PS2, PSP, Wii. while Amaze Entertainment makes the DS version. We talked about this before, but there's over 700 people credited on this game. It's huge. I mean, there's so many people working on this. I don't think we talked about the guest stars in our last episode. There's guest stars in this game, Derek.
Yeah, I guess they don't really show up until
late
after when we were talking. Yeah.
Yep. So we have Violet Diaz, John DiMaggio, Maurice LaMarche, Kelsey Grammer, Matt Groening, Will Wright.
Weird poll.
And Billy West.
Yeah,
So
I mean, 3 of these are just like literally Futurama voice actors is why they're in this game. And Kelsey Grammer makes sense. Matt Groening is a surprise, but makes sense. Will Wright is a weird pull.
Oh my god, it's a nerd! That's right, the nerdiest nerd in the computerverse.
Dad, that's Will Wright, designer of SimCity and The Sims.
Don't forget my biggest flop, Sim Sandwich. Its failure drove me mad. Mad! That's why I live here now, finding a home for old games nobody plays anymore. Video games are about what's new, and the old is better off forgotten. Any of these fellows look familiar?
Wow, we look so pixely.
And poorly rendered. Which one is supposed to be me?
Don't destroy them. They may be obsolete, but they're still alive.
Help, it's crazy.
If he destroys us, we'll never escape from Krusty Island. I'm Marge.
You can't do this.
Of course I can. I'm Will Wright, bitch. And pretty soon, when there's a new, better Simpsons video game than the one you're from, I'll destroy you too.
Will Wright is honestly like, it kind of makes sense. Like we've talked about this before about how like the Simpsons writers like probably are not like the biggest gamers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so having like Will Wright be the face of your game, and also because SimCity in The Sims is like a huge EA game. Like,
oh, I didn't think about that. That connection makes the most sense, actually.
Yeah, it makes sense in that regard, but it also doesn't make sense in terms of like what's popular necessarily at the time. Although The Sims is still very popular at this time. Like, The Sims is never not popular after it releases, but
I mean, yeah. But I think because he in this game is supposed to represent like the desire for games to just like kind of keep getting better and better and just destroying like old retro games.
Sure.
Essentially like,
yeah.
so he's basically like anti-game preservation in a way, like in the context of this game is what makes him a villain. So like, I do think it would have also made sense if it was someone from the latest, greatest, like Call of Duty game or whatever. That's a praise for its graphics and innovations being like, fuck old games. Who cares? It seems a little bit weird for Will Wright, given that like, I don't know, they're not, it's not like the Sims, like Sims is known for like constantly releasing like new games over and over and over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird. Like there's part of me that wonders, like, especially because like this is also an era where like video game personalities are starting to be a thing. Like you mentioned like G4 and stuff. Like G4 had been around for a couple years at this time. But like it makes me kind of question, like, does it make more sense for them to have like Adam Sessler or, you know, like someone like that to be like
I think having to be a video game designer makes sense for what they do with him. It's just a weird, I do think it needed to be like more of someone that represented where games are now rather than someone who's been part of gaming for a long time. And like SimCity, it's not like there's like a new SimCity every year. I know Sims has had multiple sequels, but even then it's like pretty big gaps between them, you know, like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just like weird. I mean, I think ultimately it's just like, wouldn't it be funny if the creator of The Sims was like maniacally evil and tried to murder for some reason? Like, I think that's part of the joke too.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, the other thing is that like Will Wright, I think was, especially in gaming communities, like he was a known name. And part of the reason for that, and we're not going to talk about EA's history on this episode, but we are, I promise, going to talk about it on a future episode. But one of the things that EA did in their early years, which is actually kind of fascinating, and I have to give them credit for doing this, was when they released games, it would be like Will Wright's The Sims, right? Like the creator's name is kind of attached to it. And so it was like a way to give, that proper credit. So like Will Wright, I think, gets his name on like SimCity, I think, probably on like the box and stuff like that. And so he is a known commodity. But like in 2007, I don't know how well known he actually is. I know he appears on like G4 and stuff like that some of the times, but like he's also still just generally not like a really like well-known thing. And I think more of my issue with the Will Wright appearance is that it still requires like a level of explaining that like you could do with anybody, right? Like that's kind of the thing where it's like, use whoever, like you use anyone, be like, I created, Modern Warfare and I'm, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There was also, who was the guy who was like, there was a really popular game dev at the time who like got a lot of airplay that like, I can't think of his freaking name and I'm sure he's not a great dude,
Yeah,
but like,
assume he probably turned out to be a piece of shit. If it was,
but like, I'm sure like
popular in 2007, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I'm sure they could have used like someone like that, like but
I don't mean to be disparaging Will Wright so much. It's more just like if he was among a bunch of cameos from game developers, I don't think it would be as big of a deal. But he's like the only guest character in here who is a game developer guesting as himself.
Yeah,
in a video game very much about parodying and referencing the entire sort of history and industry of video games. It feels weird that you're going to tap people that like you wouldn't, if you're either going to have a bunch of them or the one person you get would be a really like slam dunk pull. Again,
right.
Will Wright is funny in it. Like he's funny as cameo and it doesn't make that much of a difference. It's just confusing.
It's just weird.
It does feel like the EA thing maybe is the only connection that they just, an easy person to get with it that EA would approve of them getting. And that it wouldn't be like, I don't know, maybe they're afraid if they did get someone from a game that was actively coming out at the time, they wouldn't want to make fun of their own product. So it's sort of like, well, if there's not currently a new Sims that we're advertising right now, and it's not like something that like gamer bros get all rabid about, maybe he's the perfect person to come in and have a funny little self-parody cameo and no one will be bothered by it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not like
but
it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I think the only other thing I'll say too is that like you have like early on in the game them introduce an EA executive.
They drop that shit so fast.
They drop so many things really quickly in this game.
Yeah.
It's just wild stuff where it's just like, okay, but you had an executive and now it's Will Wright. And then Will Wright gets dropped at some point. Like, you know what I mean? Like then he doesn't matter.
Yeah. Why was he even there trying to destroy old Simpsons games? Actually, is it because is the implication that he was developing one of the new ones? Like, why is he even there in the internet there destroying them?
Let's get into the plot of this because this is.
I never thought about it, but actually, I don't think his appearance even makes any sense, which makes it more egregious.
Why is Matt Groening's mansion in the internet?
Okay,
I don't know.
I take issue with that. I think that shit rocks, but we'll get to that.
Okay. Well, we could talk about that, but okay. So real quick, plot recap. Up to this point, we talked about this in our last episode. If you want to listen to all of our thoughts on that, the first half of this game, go listen to that one. But when we last talked about the game, we went through the first half where Bart finds a mysterious game manual for the Simpsons game, discovering that they are characters in a video game and have special powers. They take down bullies, defend the forest from Mr. Burns, rouse mobs to fight back against Electronic Arts, releasing Grand Theft Scratchy, and go searching for Professor Frink after King and Kodos attack, and they have to quote-unquote enter the Cheatrix to save Frink, who ends up marrying a Koopa Troopa, and they rescue him from Donkey Kong. After returning back from the video game world, the internet, we get several Treehouse of Horror inspired segments, which is just weird, but essentially the plot point is that the attacking King and Kodos use their powers, their alien powers, to make various different things happen. And so we'll start with, it doesn't really matter because these happen in any order, but we'll start with the Day of the Dolphin.
Yar, when that mysterious beam hit the dolphins, they became enraged and started attacking humans. I tried to fight back, but all I could see were snouts and blowholes. Yar, yar, yar.
Oh, Sea Captain, I'm so sorry.
Don't you dare pity me! Oh, I yelled at a little girl. I'm just gonna go sit in my car.
Wait a second. You need to help us defeat the army of lovable fish-eating crowd-pleasers.
Agreed. There'll be a hatch out in the water behind the marine park. Meet me there, and we'll beat back the scurvy dolphin invasion. Yar!
So essentially, Bart and Lisa have to free the sea captain and fight a bunch of murderous dolphins at the squid port, which leads them to King Snorky. And to defeat King Snorky, the player must place electric eels in a tank of water and knock Snorky in to defeat them. This is clearly a reference to Treehouse of Horror 11, Night of the Dolphin.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on this?
I mean, I thought I do think that if you're going to pick out Treehouse of Horror segments, I don't super love this actual segment in the show, but I do think it's a fun idea of like, yeah, you get to fucking beat up a bunch of dolphins. It's funny. Like, I don't know. There's in the context of the game, it's not, I don't think it's one of the most memorable segments out of the whole game. I think shit gets way wilder after this, but it's a fun setting for a level. I like how much the sea captain is part of it. I forget, was like a thing that he says where he's like, yeah, I'm normally not this. I normally don't appear this much in the series of events in your lives. Like, it's like the one reference that you get to the TV show in this whole game. It's funny that it comes from him.
Yeah, it is. Actually, there is another one coming up. I'll mention it. But
oh, okay.
Kind of, but it's not really that much of a thing. But yeah, I don't mind the dolphin thing. I think that my issue with this whole section, I think that, like, to do a Simpsons game, like, and especially if you're doing the Simpsons game, like we talked about, you have to have Treehouse of Horror. I just think that a lot of these segments play out very similarly.
Sure. Yeah.
And a lot of the Springfield stuff, like, plays out so similarly that I'm just like, I feel like you could just merge a lot of this together or find a way to streamline this and, like, bring it all into the Internet of Things. Like, they go into the Internet and then they come back out, like we already talked about, and then have to later on go back into the Internet. And it's just like, what that to me, like, clear, like, if I'm looking at like a script or like something I'm writing, I'm like, okay, hold on, like, why am I going back and forth? Like, we got to figure something out here. The actual gameplay of this, I think, is fine. I think it's clever to have to, the way you have to use Bart and Lisa in this part where you're able to, like, make platforms with like billboards and stuff, and then electrocuting King Snorky. All that's fine. I also like the callback. Like, I'm fine with that segment, that Treehouse of Horror segment. Mm-hmm. So I think seeing this was, like, exciting for me. But
yeah, I love that Snorky himself is the villain, and it's the same voice and everything like that too.
Yeah, it's very cool. There's not a ton that you really do in this one. It really is pretty straightforward. Like, you're going from point A to point B, and then you have to kill King Snorky.
Yeah, no, there's too much other stuff to talk about. Let's just move on from this one.
The next one is Shadow of the Colossal Donut, which, banger name. I like that it's.
That's good. That's really good.
It's
Shadow
very
of the
good.
Colossus, Shadow of the Colossal Donut. I dig that.
I do wish that they had more of those, like, sort of tie-ins, but
when did Shadow of the Colossus come out?
I want to say that was 2006.
Okay, so that's still pretty recent.
Oh, it's 2005. I was close.
Okay, even still, it's still pretty recent. I would expect the Simpsons writers to be making all, like, old references, and, like, everything would be Donkey Kong and Super Mario, but then the fact that they're referencing like a 2-year-old game is pretty rad, actually.
Yes, it is really cool. Yeah. So this one, of course, references Treehouse of Horror 6, which is Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores, and a little bit Treehouse of Horror 3, Clown Without Pity, because Lard Lad somehow uses his eye beams on a billboard and makes tiny crusty dolls come to life, and they're the, like, ground level enemy in this, whereas the giant Lard Lad is, like, a big enemy that you're fighting throughout the whole level.
It's a chaotic level. It's chaotic. It's a lot.
Good evening, Springfield. Kent Brockman chasing local imbecile Homer Simpson and his delinquent son Bart, who have picked a fight with an out-of-control donut mascot statue. Bart Simpson, are you and your father insane?
Hi, Lenny, I'm on TV. I just said your name on TV. Don't tell Carl unless he sees this, in which case, hi, Carl, don't tell Lenny I said your name. Anyways, gotta go. You'll have to stuff him, Bart. I'm too drunk.
I do like that. Even like this is one that I think works very effectively because it is parodying with the name Shadow of the Colossus, and also in a way it's kind of parodying the mechanics of Shadow of the Colossus, where like you have to climb a giant like colossal beast and like hit its like weak points a bunch of times to actually kill it. That's basically the same gameplay, although but like in the Simpsons game platformer sort of element where you have to like open up these hatches and pull his wiring out.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And there's multiple ways to do it with either Bart or Homer too, which I think is neat. It's not like there's like one way to make this work. You actually have a lot of options. I think it's just chaotic because you also have these tiny Krusties chasing after you at the same time. And if you're not playing 2-player, it's like one of your characters is inevitably going to get fucked up by the Krusty dolls while you're trying to get to this lard lad guy, which is kind of a bummer. I also like that this one is narrated by Kent Brockman the entire time.
Yes.
And he gets weird quips in it that are, this one of these is like, Bart is down. Hopefully he learned from Chumbawamba to get back up again.
There's so many weird musical references in this game.
And
some really unfortunate musical things that happen, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, this one is fun. I mean, I think I probably prefer playing Day of the Dolphin better, but as a concept, I think this one works way better.
Yeah, it felt very distinct for this and very memorable too.
And then we have Invasion of the Yokel Snatchers, which is not a actual like reference to anything Treehouse of Horror from what I can tell. I mean, I guess you could make the argument like the first Treehouse of Horror because it's Kang and Kodos, but
it's just an alien level. I don't like this level.
No,
this is
I don't either.
This is my least favorite part of the game. This is when I was starting to get a little bit burnt out. I do think then things pick up very quickly after this. But this part I was sort of like, what the fuck is this? Because it's still hard. It's pretty hard. They're not really doing anything new with it. It really is just a shit ton of these fucking little motherfucking tiny alien mini Kang and Kodos dudes. What are do they have that fucking name for the aliens? Regalians. Little tiny fucking regalians that like aren't, I guess, that hard to kill, but it's easy for them to kill you. I spent so much fucking time in this stupid fucking level, and it wasn't funny. It's all surrounding like Cletus getting abducted, which I don't give a fuck about. Who cares? And like, it wasn't even a cool looking level because it's like they're at the Springfield Mall, but it's all been decimated by the alien invasion. So it's just a bunch of rubble. So like, there's nothing interesting happening here until they get on the ship. And then even then it's not interesting really till the cutscene.
Dad, look, they're raiding the mall and sucking up innocent citizens.
Where is mall security? You always seem to be around when you take a whiz in the fountain.
Stop!
See?
Whoa. Hey, stop your thieving. I spent all day clipping these coupons for flat screen magic picture machines. Brandine has to watch her stories in 1080 pixels.
This human has tiny pieces of paper that give him big savings. We must study him.
Study him with anal probing?
Of course with anal probing. What else would we do? Talk to him?
Thank God they're torturing that yokel. It's the perfect time to attack.
And also, I don't even get what the point of the aliens, like, they were like trying to take the mall. I don't know why.
They just seem like they're just chaos agents because there's even a point, the reason they abduct Cletus isn't for any reason. They just sort of like, yeah, let's learn about this guy. We're not going to talk to him. We're going to do anal probes because we're aliens. Yay. Like, I forget who says it, but someone was like, I think Homer is like, damn those rectally obsessed savages, damn them, which is funny. Which is like, yeah, sure, you're doing anal probe jokes for aliens, makes sense, but like, there's nothing more to it than that. Like, they don't take it another level like The Simpsons often does. And it's not even as like chaotic as this game sometimes gets. It's just like Bart and Homer fight some aliens, and if it's a throwback to anything, it's a throwback to like early NES games where it's just, Bart shooting at aliens. And guess what? Those games weren't good. So don't throw back to them.
Well, there is a world, and we talk about this a little bit more later once we get into more of the meta stuff, but like there is a world where I think like maybe some of these parts of the game are intended to be for lack of a better term, like worse, because like they talk about like how hackneyed and how trite it is to have like just random alien invasion be like your big bad like in the video game, and it's like a commentary in the game about like video games, and this game is a commentary about video games, so like maybe that's part of it.
But I think the flaw in that, and that I could see anyone arguing about this game in a lot of regards, is that like just because you poke fun at something stupid that you're doing doesn't mean you're not doing it. So if you're if you're making fun about how bad your game is, like that doesn't take away from the game being bad. I'm not saying this game is bad, but like if you have a segment of the game that's kind of boring and really trite and not really that interesting, it's sort of like, wow, this is kind of shitty. We're just fighting aliens, right? It's sort of like, yeah, it is. Yep. Anything you want to do about that? Like, yeah, you're just telling me what I already know, man. Pointing it out doesn't make it better.
Right. Yes, exactly. That was kind of my whole thought too, is like it kind of falls a little flat when you do it, if that is the case.
And I don't know if that's what they're doing, because they are much more in other points of the game, they're much more apparent about it and make it more of a joke. I think this just feels kind of like a filler level, to be honestly.
Truly, all three of these. Like, as much as I think Shadow of the Colossal Donut is fun, like I think Day of the Dolphin and Shadow of the Colossal Donut and then Invasion of the Yokel Snatchers is like, they're just kind of like, whatever. Like, I think the game is actually like probably improved if you take them out. Like,
yeah, I think it also doesn't help that 2 out of these 3 levels are Homer and Bart, and then the and then the snorky one is Lisa and Bart. So it's a lot of Bart, it's a lot of Homer, no Marge whatsoever. Which is the problem with this whole game, is that there's very little Marge in it. Like, they kind of built a power set that I think is probably challenging to build a level around, but then they're instead of the solution being, okay, let's like try to maybe tweak her power set or find creative ways to use her power set, they're just like, let's just not use Marge, which is just really shitty, and I think actually makes the game worse, because even though there's so much variety intrinsic to the characters that you are playing, they don't utilize that variety enough.
Yeah, no, and I actually think that I think Marge's gameplay is the most interesting.
It's like, interesting because it's very unique and really different.
It's very unique, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, they get onto the spaceship, and you have to destroy portals where like the aliens are coming out, whatever. Just kind of like a very, standard thing in this game. And then it's revealed that Sideshow Bob has been working with the aliens.
Sideshow Bob? Ah!
Don't bother crying out in terror. In space, no one can hear you scream.
We're not in space.
Well, we're in a spaceship.
Not the same thing.
It's pretty weird that you'd be working with the aliens.
Try not to think about it too much. Just focus on what an unexpected treat it is to see me here. Besides, you won't live long enough to hear the convoluted explanation. Now, cracks a noble heart. Good night, sweet Simpsons, and flights of aliens. Sing thee to thy rest.
I told you to pick up your space rake.
No matter. It was foolish to send a former TV clown to do an alien's work. We will have our revenge. Sorry, my bad.
Bart remarks how weird that is, and Bob replies, try not to think about it too much. Just focus on how much of a treat it is to see me here.
See, I do like that, because I think that's good, because I do too. It's not making it miserable for you as a player. It's giving you what you want, which is a Sideshow Bob cameo voiced by Kelsey Grammer doing his whole thing. He's given a fun Sideshow Bob performance. it doesn't affect anything. It is literally there for the joke and to comment on pointless cameos in video games like this, or like, I do think if it's pointing on anything that I think is good, it's that like a game like this that's packing references. The references are often going to be nonsensical, and he's just pointing out like, yeah, this reference is nonsensical. Guess what? You fucking love it anyway, so fuck you.
yeah. I have no problem with that at all. Like I think that it kind of makes sense, and I honestly wish. I kind of wish that the alien stuff just gets completely dropped here. Like, if anything, like, you know, like, I think it would make sense, like, they defeat the aliens and then we move on to the next thing. But, like, the part of the problem is that then the impetus for them. So the next section is bargain bin, which we've already talked a little bit about. Kang and Kodos show up at the Simpsons house and they confront the family. Bart points out that their weak spot is exposed after every 4 shots, and then they hear him, which is very funny too.
Because they're just sort of like, yeah, why do we expose our weak spot at all?
Yeah,
Thanks for the tip, kid. We just won't now. Like, I like that a lot.
And then they just like go on and they're like, we're going to start destroying the rest of Springfield because like, why worry about this one family? Which like, all that's fine. But I also like, there's also part of me where it's like, I feel like you could have had a clear act break here. Like have this be like the end of Act 1 or Act 2, whatever act we're in, or I think that's Act 1. Clear act break. The alien invasion is like done, and then find another way to make them have to get into the game engine again, because I feel like having like the alien invasion thing still just kind of like hanging out there through all the rest of the stuff that we're going to go on. Like, it's just like, it's a little weak, and it doesn't make any sense to me to have that still there.
I agree with you narratively. It doesn't bother me as much though, if only because like it's there as their impetus to go to the internet and they don't really do anything else with it. I think if they kept revisiting the alien stuff somehow, then I would get frustrated because it's sort of like, just be done with this. It's not that interesting. But I think the fact that they do this, and they do, even though it's not a clean break and technically it's up in the air, they do basically just like drop it after this. Like, it's like they reference that we are doing this to stop aliens, but they don't actually fight the aliens anymore after this is over, which I think is good because everything else that comes after this, I think, is miles better than the alien stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
So essentially they're back at home and they have to find another way to quote cheat at the game. And I think it is very funny that Lisa points out, well, they can use the internet to cheat at the video game. Again, hugely referential on like video game
they
stuff.
just basically are looking up a tutorial to how to beat how to beat the boss. It's good. I like the Marge line, like, the space octopuses are gonna get jiggy all over the neighborhood. Did I use jiggy right? Sorry. Like, I like that she recognizes that she did a Marge thing, didn't do it right, and then immediately apologizes for it, and like no one comments on it.
And it's also very funny that it's 2007 and we're making a jiggy reference.
I think, but that works for Marge. I fucking love that. I think it's good. Yeah.
So they get sucked into the computer because Homer tries to use the CD-ROM drive as a cup holder. And this is where they immediately encounter Will Wright, the designer of SimCity and The Sims, as Lisa aptly points out. I think the thing that's like funniest for me about Will Wright is Lisa knowing who he is immediately and calling attention to who he is. Like, that's obviously like a Lisa trope, right? Of being like, it's blah, blah, blah from blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like when a guest star shows up.
Yeah, sure.
But like, I think it's very funny that Lisa would know who Will Wright is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They discover he is destroying copies of The Simpsons Escape from Krusty Island, a cartridge-based game that doesn't actually exist in real life.
How did you feel about them just like making up a fake game instead of just using a real one that existed? Do you think it's a rights issue because EA didn't make previous games that would be old enough to be referencing?
Maybe. I think that's probably it, but I also think like, I don't know that there's any game that they could have referenced that like people would have known enough. You know, like they could have done like the arcade game.
It doesn't matter though if people know it, because it would be a referencey thing where people see it's an old game like this one and they'll just take it as an old game. But if you know it, it's a fun reference for you. Like, they wouldn't lose anything by this being real. And I do think what they do, The Simpsons Escape from Krusty Land, sounds like the kind of game that would have come out in the NES or Super NES era.
Oh, yeah.
So they're clearly trying to harken back to that anyway. So why wouldn't you just have Bart versus the Space Mutants or something there anyway?
Yeah. I don't know. I it didn't bother me, I think, because I think that in the meta-ness of it all, I think the world that they're establishing is that this is a Simpsons video game that exists where other Simpsons video games exist, but not necessarily the Simpsons video games that existed in real life.
Yeah.
I do think, though, there is an interesting game if they do start introducing a lot of the older games, but it's an interesting game, like literally only to you and me. Like,
yeah,
I think.
I don't need them to go. I wouldn't need them to go any harder than this on that. Like if they had it literally, I just mean literally just for the cartridge and the name drop.
Yeah.
I don't need them to actually homage like Bart versus the World or Krusty's Funhouse or whatever. I don't need that because you're right. Not enough people we familiar with that. I think it's enough that you have later in the game, like Matt Groening pointing out like that a lot of the old games kind of sucked. Like that's enough. I just mean like if you're gonna name drop anything, why not just name drop one? You know, which I think is a little strange. That's all.
Yeah, the only other thing I would say too is that like if you think about it, so many of the old games are literally Bart X, and so
that's a good point.
If you want to show the whole family like the concept of all the 8-bit versions of all of them, then really the whole family doesn't show up in a lot of those games.
That's, you know what? That's actually, I can see the calculation there where it's sort of like, it's not worth breaking the point of the narrative for one reference and joke, actually. Okay, that's fair. And you get a fun imaginary fake old game out of it too, which is kind of fun too.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think the Simpsons escape from Krusty Island is fun. Is a fun little
Krusty
nod.
Island, not Krusty Land. You're right.
Krusty
Island.
Yeah, but it's a nod to them escaping from Camp Deadly and also a lot of the early Krusty games too. So I do think there is something fun about that.
I do too.
But I do think like there is another world where like you do have like more references to some of the older games, and it would be kind of fun to like see how they did. If they did a Simpsons Game 2, like I would love to see them do more with that concept.
Sure.
But as it stands, I kind of understand all the reasons why they do it. But Will basically explains, this is that sort of line that video games are about what's new and the old is better off forgotten. And then we see the 8-bit versions of the Simpsons family revealed, like trapped inside the cartridge. You then as the player are to control Bart, once again, Bart and Homer, to try and save them on a time trial sort of basis.
Mm-hmm.
And you get like a lot of references, like Will Wright is like hollering at the player the whole time, just random things. There's various posters for games like Sim Sandwich and Sim Kitty 2000, which is very fun.
Yeah.
And the other reference I was going to make to the show is that Will Wright says, why haven't you ever had me on the show? You had the Baja Men on.
That's pretty good. I like when he just says, I'm Will Wright, bitch.
Yes. It's
yeah.
Like,
I think this game actually also has a nice balance of like making fun of old games. And like when you have them, like they see the pixelated versions of themselves and being like, which one is supposed to be me? I don't even know. And like their little pixelated catchphrases just being so service, like don't have a cow man. And then Marge just says, I'm Marge. Cause they couldn't even figure out what her catchphrase would be back in the day with those old games. So I think that's good. They make fun of it, but they also still pay enough homage to these things as well and recognize and like a point of this is that they're supposed to be recognizing that the old versions of themselves still have value and should be rescued, and just because something is old and out of date and there's been newer updated graphical versions of them doesn't mean you just throw it in the trash. So I think this game plays well both ways of recognizing the silliness and flaws of some of these older games, especially when it comes to The Simpsons, but also that but you can't just destroy them. They're still part of our history and they're still pieces of art that exist in the world, whether you really enjoyed playing them or not.
Yeah, and I also think it is very fascinating to me that they start talking about like destruction of like video games and things like that, because like I don't know enough about like video game archival stuff. I'm starting to get a little bit more into that now because it is something that is very fascinating to me. But like I don't think it was as big of an idea at the time that this game was coming out. I think this is one of those situations where like the Simpsons game kind of predicts a little bit of like, things being like locked. You can't really play old video games before because like truly like old games. One of the reasons why video game preservation and emulation is pretty important too, is because like old games are degrading, like to the point where like even if you have like the actual original hardware, like you might not be able to play them anymore. Or like you know, like we talked about disc rot on, you know, the Simpsons movie episode, and like things like that. Like we're getting to the point where like PlayStation games might start experiencing disc rot, and you might not be able to play them anymore. And so and then I think there's also like the, you know, the element, and I don't think they were trying to say this, of the fact that like EA is destroying the games, like EA, the company, is destroying the games. And it's like, you know, when you get into when we extract that a little bit further, it's like, well, you get into this world where we have all these re-releases of video games, and you have to buy the most updated version of it. And they don't really want you to like play old games on like old hardware. And I don't know, there's a lot like wrapped up in this that I don't think they intended to make like that heady of a conversation, but it's fascinating.
I think there's a kernel of it there, because I do think that you're supposed to side with the Simpsons characters who are fighting for the idea that like being quote unquote obsolete doesn't devalue what it is. And gaming as an art form is, I feel like, really unique. Other media like forms sort of have this to one extent or another, but very much with gaming, of the idea of like of constantly moving forward to the point that what came before doesn't matter as much. Like like with movies, it doesn't matter how old a movie is. If it's considered a good movie, people will still watch it. A lot of gaming stuff, it's not, obviously people are getting to retro gaming and stuff like that, but it's kind of a niche thing. For the general public, like a lot of people are just sort of like, that game looks old and bad, why would I play it? Like that's just kind of the mentality, and I think the industry has embraced that as well, where it's just like, we're only interested in the latest, greatest, and the best that we will do is like remaking The Last of Us like 4 times, or like re-releasing this super uber old popular game at like a high price value or whatever, rather than trying to like respect the thing that already existed, that you already made, that people liked at the time. And I do think that this game does intentionally have the pulse on there, you know?
Yeah.
That's just like, yeah, you're playing this on the Xbox 360, but that doesn't mean like a fucking game on a Nintendo cartridge should be thrown in the trash because you have an Xbox 360 now and the graphics look better. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It all still is art that exists, you know?
Yeah, I honestly, this is the point at which in the game, and I'll be honest, like up till this point when I was playing it, I was just kind of like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. I think this is when the game like really starts like getting into a point where I'm like, man, I wish some of this stuff came a little bit earlier, because this is the most interesting piece of the game. And we're like literally halfway into the game, like at this point.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think I do like that they stumble, for better or worse, or they intentionally make the commentary on like some of this stuff, because I do think it's fascinating. And not to get metatextual about this, but like us starting this podcast because we hadn't played the old Simpsons game, and like literally the last actual release outside of, you know, we have some other games that we're gonna talk about after this one, being a game that is about the other games that came before it, is like when I was playing the game and that happened, it like a little bit blew my mind a little bit, and I was like, how and neither of us knew about that either.
No,
like,
because no one fucking talks about this game ever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And so it's like, it is this like, and that's the only thing that's the kind of thing that you can only get with like a show like The Simpsons that has been going on for as long as it has and is as referential as it is.
Yeah.
Self-referential, like, you know, like it just works in a way that like other, even stuff like Family Guy that's been around for a long time, I don't think could pull off something like this and be as like meaningful as it is.
It's like it is sincere.
It's
about
earnest,
it. Like,
yeah.
As much as it makes fun of like old video games and video game tropes and stuff that annoys you about video games, it is very sincere about like, but you love them anyway, or love them because of those tropes and flaws and things like that, you know?
There's actually, when they show the 8-bit like Simpsons, there's like a little bit of like, oh, it's them. Like you feel a little bit like, you know, it's cool to see that. And I actually think a miss for this game is not having them be a little bit more involved. I think there's like, there's a really cool element of like, maybe they come in at the end of like the creator and like help them out or something.
It really seemed like they were leading up to that. Yeah. Well, cause I mean, for one, the designs of the pixelated versions of them are sort of weird, because I don't think they actually match any Simpsons pixel, like, you know, 8-bit or 32-bit versions of them that have ever existed before. So like that's fine, like whatever. But it does feel like they introduce them, you save them, they stick around for a little bit. They're in the hub world. After that, just walk and you can talk to them. They have their own little lines. They have a sort of like, they have little conversations, like recognizing how the world of gaming has changed and like how the world in general has changed. There's the line, the world we grew up in is gone, I think is what Bart, the pixelated Bart, says. And it's kind of like sad and like, but a little bit beautiful. And it's so interesting, like, because, you know, it ends up feeling reflective of The Simpsons in general, because The Simpsons as a show and as a franchise has existed since the 1990s, and the world in 1989 like does not exist here, you know, in the modern day. Like that, the world you grew up in is gone. That is just history. That's how things move on and move forward. But I think to have characters like a version of yourself that recognizes that and is telling you like as you're describing what modern video game like standards and tropes are, and that's sort of like, that's not my experience with video games at all. You're telling me like you don't even have lives and like points anymore. What are you talking about?
Right.
And so it feels like they're like there's jokes there, but it also like again feels kind of earnest. And so it feels like they're setting up these characters to have some sort of hero moment, or like not redemption, they don't need redemption, but like something to like reaffirm their value after you've purported that. And after the hub world, they disappear. They don't play any part in it. And I agree with you. It feels like a real missed opportunity that they don't show up at least one more time or do something cool or have you team up with them in like the last level or something.
Yeah, especially because there's so many moments in a lot of them happen. Like there's one that happened in the last level that we talked about, the invasion of the yokel snatchers, where the game turns into a different game. Like either the perspective changes or like literally are playing like is that
the one that's like Space Invaders, or is that
Space Invaders is the yokel snatchers is Space Invaders.
Cool. Yeah.
And I kind of, part of me is like, why not have that be like them? Like have the 8-bit like gamers like Simpsons family have to play through those aspects of it. You know, something like that. Or even like, I don't know, like again, like if they just came in at the very end and you had to get like a high score on like an arcade game or something, because that's what they're all about. Like I think that would make sense. Like there's so many ways where I think they could have done that, and it just feels very much like it was missed to like introduce these characters and not do anything with them. And the other thing, the earnestness of it too, I think carries through, that you were just talking about, because in very early on in the cutscene where they get to the hub world.
Wow, this is like those places where people used to see movies before video piracy was invented.
Hey, thanks for helping us save our 8-bit selves. I had to do so many double jumps, I'm really tired.
Do you like donuts too? Sure do. You want one? Pixely. You're all right, old weird version of me.
Attention, Smooth Simpsons. We've been around this complex for a long time and bring a warning. Cowabunga.
One day, your video game, too, will be obsolete.
No way. The Simpsons game is awesome. Just because every video game up until now has been destroyed and forgotten doesn't mean ours will be.
Bart, she's right. I'm right. We're both right. No video game is safe from an industry that's always chasing the hot new thing. Sure, the Simpsons game is great with its unique upgradable character abilities and its hilarious self-referential cutscenes. But what about when the Xbox 720 comes out or the PlayStation 4? No one will want to play as then.
Damn this godforsaken place! Video game making nerds are getting rich and all I can do is die and die and die and die! Each death more painful than the last!
But what can we do? We're just highly rendered pixels in a universe we can't control. Even as we speak, Springfield is being destroyed by a hackneyed alien invasion premise. Oh, somehow it's not a cliche when it's happening to you.
Yeah, we don't even know whose butt to kick.
There is one place you can go, the mansion of the Creator. He created all of these worlds. Maybe he can end this pointless cycle of destruction.
The Creator, eh? I'm gonna triple-combo punch his fat, nerdy face. Karate! Don't have a cow, man. You still say that, right? I hope so. The only way to get through the gate is to go into each of the new Simpsons games being developed by the Creator. Once you're inside each game, you need to find a key card. Only the 4 key cards will combine to open the gate. Key cards? That is the lamest video game BS I've ever heard. Why aren't we doing something cool, like collecting multicolored shard keys? That would be totally different and awesome! Cowabunga!
Lisa says, no video game is safe from an industry that's always chasing the hot new thing. Sure, the Simpsons game is great with its unique, upgradable character abilities and hilarious self-referential cutscenes. But what about when the Xbox 720 comes out or the PlayStation 4? No one will want to play us then.
She's right.
She's right.
Like, that's the thing. Like, the second that you get a new console, like, for, again, hardcore gamers and retro gamers and a lot of people who like love their backlog and stuff like that, this does not apply to you. But unfortunately, we're the weird ones in the minority for that. Most people who just play video games casually, they get the new system, they play on the new system, that old system collects dust, and those other games just get shipped off to a thrift store. Like, that is usually how it works, unfortunately, with games. That's not really the same with movies. People hold on to their movies most of the time, you know? Like, with games, that's not the fucking case. People just kind of abandon the old shit as soon as the new shit comes out.
Right. And I think there's a lot of conversation we could have about why that is too, because I think, you know, with the rise of like GameStop and stuff like that, where it was like, sell your old games to get these 5 old games to get one shiny new game.
Yeah.
Like,
and like the lack of backwards compatibility on a lot of consoles and stuff too makes a big difference.
Yeah. Like, it's not, I mean, sure, that exists for movies and films and stuff like that too, but like a lot of times you do get more releases into DVD or Blu-ray.
It is not at all to the same extent. And you don't necessarily, I know that there are some things that do remaster movies or whatever, but like remastering a movie isn't the same. Like remastering a movie to go from DVD to Blu-ray to 4K is not the same as like redoing an entire like PlayStation 2 game to re-release it on a PlayStation 4. Those are very different beasts. And so it's less common for video games than it is for movies. And again, a lot of people will just be like, no, I'm happy with my Blu-ray. I don't need to get a 4K version of it. It's fine. Like a lot of people are like that. Like most people with video games, it's like you either get the newest version or you're never playing it ever again.
Yeah, and I think there's also something poignant too about the fact that Lisa says that, right? Like, you know, what about when these other consoles come out? Also, it's very funny that she says Xbox 720 doesn't get that right, but PlayStation 4, that is the right.
Yeah, because
that
one
happen.
is a normal naming convention,
right?
And
Yeah,
the other one is stupid.
But like, yeah, and then the new one is Xbox One. Yeah, like that makes any fucking sense. But it is funny to me, like she says that, and then like also like realizing like this is the last game they're gonna get essentially. Like again, there's some like tiny little releases, and then we get some, you know, the mobile game, the big mobile game, and it's like this is, I think, probably like one that I could see more people replaying. One, if it played better than the previous game that came out, Hit and Run, which I still maintain I think plays better than this game, but that's a different conversation. But also, like, again, it's harder to do that. Like, it's like for me to play this game, I either had to go buy an actual copy of the PlayStation 3 version, which, by the way, you can't play on a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5. Like, you have to have a PlayStation 3 or, you know, one of the other old consoles, or emulate it. Like, so it's like, you know, there really is this, like, there's so much wrapped up in this section of the game that is so interesting.
It was funny playing this game on an emulator and then having to like do some special workaround stuff to make sure it worked properly on that emulator, and then get to this part where they're talking about how like impossible it is to play old games when a new console comes out. And I'm just like, yeah, man, most people wouldn't go through this effort to play the fucking Simpsons game. Actually,
right?
Yeah.
If we didn't do this podcast, I would not have played this game probably. Like, in my life.
I know, absolutely. I never would have played this game unless it got released on some virtual console or something like that, like a PlayStation, or somebody did like a Simpsons game re-release of some kind or made it available on their store, or, you know, online store or something. Maybe that would be the only scenario I'd play it, but I wouldn't fucking take the effort to play this unless we were doing it for a fucking podcast, which like sucks. I hate that I hate that about me, but also there's too much else out there for me to play instead.
Yeah. I mean, it's an Ouroboros, right? Like, of like, there's so many games to play, but there's also so many games that I want to play, but there's also more games coming out. Like, you know, so it's just impossible to consume it all. But anyway, So we do get into this sort of hub world that's essentially like a movie theater, like lobby kind of
Yeah, I don't know
thing.
that I quite get that, but it's a cute little setting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else they could have done, but yeah, it's fine. It is a little weird. We talk about how the 8-bit versions interact with the smooth versions, which I think is very fun that the 8-bit versions call them smooth. I do think that the Bart model is close to like what he looks like in Space Mutants and stuff like that.
Sure, it's fair.
But I also think like, again, like there aren't that many other playable Simpsons characters in the old game, so I don't know what they would have looked like.
That's a good point.
But and Marge has extra pixels at her butt, which is very funny to me.
That's really weird, but sure.
It's weird, but it's funny.
She got a badonkadonk.
Yep. And then each character gets a special upgrade from Professor Frink and a special tutorial. Homer then is able to turn into Gummy Homer and throw gummy grenades, referencing, of course, the Venus de Milo.
And also, I think it was also meant to be a reference to the Treehouse of Horror where he turns into the blob because he has a big green blob in that one as well. I forget which
You're right.
I forget which treehouse that is, but
that's a great call.
Yeah. I think it's both. I think it's both though, because they do call it out as Gummy as well.
That's fun. Lisa's Hand of Buddha gets upgraded to shoot lightning and freeze enemies into blocks, which is a fun ass upgrade, but also what? And then Bart and Marge, I think probably the least exciting ones. Bart's slingshot just gets upgraded to do more damage, and his cape lets him glide for longer. And Marge gets an upgraded megaphone.
What is the upgraded megaphone like? How is it upgraded?
I think it's the area of effect when you like knock down enemies. So it's like
I didn't even notice. Like that
very slight.
Me. Yeah.
Marge again just gets like the short shrift a lot.
She always fucking does in everything. It sucks.
It sucks. There is a nice balance in these levels though of the characters that you play, which I do appreciate. But like, in the previous levels, like Marge doesn't get a lot to do at all.
Yeah.
So this is another scenario where there's like the player is presented with 4 different options of games to play, and you have different characters that have to play in each level. We'll just start with the one I think we probably have the most to say about potentially, which is Grand Theft Scratchy.
Look at this place. Graffitos, bottle and bags, and way more pimps than I'm comfortable with. I just don't understand why Bart would want to play this game.
What is it with cats and mice? Can't they ever get along?
Lisa, you and I are gonna clean up this video game once and for all.
Do you think it will still be fun if you can't stomp cat prostitutes and take their money?
Of course. What's more fun than playing nice?
Essentially, I'll just go through real quick what the plot of this is. Marge and Lisa travel into Grand Theft Scratchy Blood Island, specifically, a direct parody of Grand Theft Auto, and I think specifically San Andreas, because you're in Canine Wood, which is like, Hollywood. That's supposed to be West Coast.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Where they decide to, quote, clean up the game once and for all.
Way more pimps than I'm comfortable with.
So many good. Marge has a lot of good quotes in this one. Marge makes this whole level.
The fact that they've been teasing Grand Theft Scratchy throughout the entire game is this like the super hyper violent cool game that Bart wants, and that Bart doesn't get to be in this level, and instead it's Marge and Lisa. I think is genius.
It's so funny.
Great. Yeah.
It's so funny. But also it wouldn't work if it was Marge and Bart, because the whole concept is like we have to clean it up and change it.
No, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant.
It's brilliant. There's not too much variety in gameplay overall in this one. It really is just kind of going through. Marge is freeing dogs that have been trapped in kennels, and
because Itchy and Scratchy are a mouse and a cat, so dogs are their mutual enemy, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, they're all animal people in this entire like level of the game, which is kind of funny too.
It's very funny. You basically then use the megaphone to rouse all of these dogs after you free them to fix up the houses and kill the pimps and gangsters, I guess.
They're literally just gentrifying the neighborhood is what it is.
They're gentrifying the
Marge
neighborhood.
Literally yells gentrify at one point. It's great.
Which is funny as shit. It's so funny.
This is also because you're calling dogs. This is where one of my favorite Marge lines of all time that I've heard for years but never actually gotten the actual experience the original source of it is Marge in a megaphone yelling,
"Where's my bitches?
Where's my bitches?" So good.
So good. It's very, again, like this should have happened earlier in the game, in my opinion. Like this should be happening like before you get so deep into the, I'm not saying like it has to be like shortened or like this has like any of the stuff has to change about the story, but like
more of this type of stuff though. I think they
Yes.
could have thrown in another couple of game parodies if they wanted to, or just expanded,
Absolutely.
or if not, just expanded these even more and made this more of the game rather than like the alien fighting shit at the beginning. I agree.
That's my biggest complaint, man, is like I think you need to do more of what makes this game fun and good. But yeah, so a couple of things too about this level. Every time Marge says gangstas, I cringe a little bit, which is the point,
Yes.
but is also like you do kind of cringe. Like it's very funny. They both of them just have such interesting lines in this. Like Lisa says, that's some top-notch de-pimping. Scratchy says, if you tell anyone this is a weave, I'll kill you.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Lisa, one of my favorite just throwaway lines that makes no sense, but is very funny, that it's just someone riffing clearly and they just wrote it down, says,
Why did I think Grand Theft Auto was about the bus driver Otto?
That's so dumb. That's really
it's so dumb, but I love it. And then Lisa also says, for no reason, bros before hoes.
It's funny hearing Yardley Smith say that.
Yes.
I like when they changed the radio station, because the radio station, I mean, you know, look, there's some, like, if you're going to be doing two white women clean up a urban neighborhood, there's going to be some, unfortunately, very unavoidable racism that you're kind of broaching on. They're literally cats and dogs and mice here, but you see the culture that they're riffing on. So the radio station is playing a lot of rap music, and I think is it Marge that's like complaining like, that's singing, not talking, turn it off. And then when they gentrify that area and change the radio station, it changes to Dionne Warwick playing That's What Friends Are For, which I think is hilarious. I do love
That's
that.
very funny.
Yeah, it is very weird. It is, I mean, I do think it's very insightful though, because that's very normal, like white mom speak of like, oh, that's awful rap music. Change that, you know, like it's
okay.
It's there's some uncomfortable places that this is going, but I do think that that you are supposed to laugh at the ridiculousness of how they're approaching this too. Like, I think it's like doing it and making fun of it at the same time, which isn't great. It's just kind of an ironic racism thing, but like, I don't think it's meant. I do think they're trying to have some commentary on what a lot of people's views were and are on, like, basically just black neighborhoods, honestly.
Yeah, it's rough some of the times. There is a line that Marge says, she says, this is like falls firmly in that lens where it's like there's a joke in here, but also it's like relying on like some stuff that feels uncomfortable, where she says the real victims of rap music are the soul artists of the 70s who aren't getting paid for their hooks and riffs. But like the concept of like the victims of rap music is just like,
oh yeah, because it's the real victims of rap. You're like implying that. No, that's honestly that didn't even occur to me when she said that.
Okay, so you get through the whole level, and the big boss in this is Poochie, who is a rapper.
Is this meant to be kind of a riff on Parappa the Rapper, because he's also a dog?
Oh, maybe.
I mean, I don't know that it's that he's a direct parody of it, but more like they get to Poochie being a rapper because Parappa exists. But I guess it's also like Poochie is part of Itchy and Scratchy, so maybe it also just feels like a natural direction to go in, regardless of that.
Maybe.
Anyway, go ahead.
But he does a rap, and it's, and I'll cut it in here.
Nothing makes me feel as good as cleaning up Ranch. Now anyone can enjoy this game, not just gamers.
Mom, I don't think we've finished yet.
Chicken! P to the double O, chit, I-E, I'm the dog who's to the extreme. What's up, my gangsters, pimps, and hoes? My hood is clean and now it flows. A baby girl skank and a blue-haired hoochie. Papa Camp in the asses, so says Poochie.
I will defend them a little bit in that they are, I think, they are parodying Grand Theft Auto, which does have a lot of this type of stuff in it. I do think it's the kind of thing where it's just like you're your work, like where you can say that like you can it's the kind of thing where it's sort of like, I'm not parroting autistic people, I'm parroting the movie Rain Man, but it's like, but then you're still parroting like and making fun of autistic people. I think it's the same sort of deal. Like, I'm not making fun of black culture, I'm making fun of Grand Theft Auto, but then you're still making fun of black culture. So like, you know, I think it's that kind of thing.
Right. When you get down to it, and it's like a Simpsons writer staff that's like all white, like dudes, like it's, you know, that's when it's just like, you know, it's like a little weird, like
sure.
But
it is.
The thing that sucks is like this stage
it's so fucking
is fun
and really
it's
funny.
fun.
Yeah,
it's very fun and funny.
And you needed to do a Grand Theft. I like that their Grand Theft Auto parody isn't just Simpsons Hit and Run again. I think that they had a really clever idea, because I feel like probably part of the joke is that they're teasing you with, you're going to get to do a Grand Theft Auto game, the Simpsons game, and then it's Marge and Lisa like ruining the game. Like, I think that is really, really funny.
It's very funny, and also very funny that at the end of the game, after the mission here, the boss battle is essentially missile command, which is an old like sort of PC NES game where like the sex workers are coming down as missiles, and you have to defend using Lisa's Hand of Buddha. You then also send out the dogs to then destroy the stage after all of this happens. A senator that looks an awful lot like Hillary Clinton shows up and congratulates Marge and Lisa for making the game safe for children and proclaims an end to video game violence before being killed by a giant rainbow heart sign that crushes her.
Yeah, that was weird that it's an unnamed senator who looks like Hillary Clinton. I don't really understand that.
Hillary Clinton was a big proponent of, and especially around this time, like when Grand Theft Auto was coming out, she was like pushing for like
that's why
a lot of the like, you know, the stuff for, you know, video game violence.
So it is very particular, and I guess they want to just avoid actually naming her and then killing her on screen. So that makes sense. All right, cool.
But I mean, it's clearly Hillary Clinton. Like, I think.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think that's
absolutely. I was more just confused. I'm sort of like, why are they not naming who this is and then killing her immediately? But that makes more sense. All right.
But it's also like, again, none of this matters. But like in the world of the game, I'm like, okay, but they know they're in a game and they're in the game engine, and Hillary Clinton exists in this game engine. I don't understand.
Well, but also they're a game within God's game, which is within Ralph's game, which is within our game. So like anything can happen. There's no rules here.
You're right. It's Inception before Inception.
It's a game within the Simpsons game, within God's game, within Ralph's game, within our game.
Where the show also exists somewhere in there. The show exists.
The show exists somehow in relation to this, but not. No, the show exists for us because we watch the show.
But Will Wright says, "Why haven't you ever invited me on the show?"
Jesus. Well, maybe is this Will Wright coming from our world into the game? Maybe.
Probably. That's got to be what it is.
Yeah, it's like he had his own little Tron adventure.
Anyway, anything else on this stage?
No, move on.
Okay,
Get away
of
from
Homer.
that cursed content, unfortunately. But we got Where's My Bitches out of it. So
we got Where's My Bitches.
Fine.
Medal of Homer. This one I think fell a little flat for me. Nothing gameplay wise. Like, I still think it's a fine parody, and I think everything they do with it is fun. But it's just more of the same. Like, there's not a lot to it.
I think it goes on. I think this one. Every other one, I want more of it. This one, I think, goes on a little too long. Unless they were going to do something different with it. I think the best part of this is the cutscenes. Because that are very clearly parroting like Medal of Honor stuff, like very directly.
Listen up, youngsters. We have received intelligence that the Krauts are due to invade the beloved French township of Ville de Saint-Capitulons. I don't need to tell you that this town provides the snails that feed the entire French resistance. If Saint-Capitulons falls, the resistance will be so hungry for snails, they'll turn around and fight for the bad guys. Oh, I've seen it happen before. You will parachute out of a UB-40 red wine flying fortress over St. Capitulons, where you'll have to locate me and Private First Class Burns for further instructions. Now, good luck. You boys are my favorite privates, and you know how much I love my privates. My privates mean everything to me. Please, God, don't let anything happen to my privates.
Take that, Frenchies!
Sacre bleu! We are, how you say, finished!
Oui, monsieur. May I have another?
Oh, look at me. I'm France. I'm a scared girl. I don't like being bombed and attacked. Hey, knock it off. We're here to protect these cheese-eating surrender monkeys. That means taking down these white flags before they have a chance to kiss German butt.
Yes,
Sergeant
Simpson. You know, Sarge, while your time-traveling son and grandson take down the flags, we could remove the priceless paintings from the village before the Germans get here. You know, for safekeeping.
You look and sound so evil. But since you're American, I know that's not possible. We'll get the paintings. You two take care of the flags.
What war is this?
Don't they teach you anything in school? It's the Civil War, duh.
But then the actual gameplay, yeah, you're just kind of running around capturing flags, which is so boring.
Right. It is interesting. So we talked about modern Call of Duty Modern Warfare. The Call of Duty series is getting pretty big at this time, but there were about 5 Medal of Honor games that released from 2005 to 2007. So like it's still like in the zeitgeist a little bit. It's not as big of a franchise by far at this point as the Call of Duty games are, but there is part of me that wishes they had introduced like a first person element in this stage, because it feels like it was just calling for that.
That's so true. That would have been there's a lot of this game that I wonder, I mean, how much like just like typical ass crunch was involved in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff where it feels like they wanted to do a little more and they feel a little bit restrained with what they do.
Sure.
Because, a first person element in a game that is not first person,
probably not easy.
It's not easy. I think it would have been worth it, but it wouldn't be easy. And they probably, I can't imagine that wasn't on the table in some capacity at some point in some conversation.
Yeah, and I bet it was probably the victim of crunch and not being able to get quite everything that they wanted, because they do some interesting video game tweaks to the game. We've already talked about a couple of them. You don't really get any of that in this section, and it does make me wonder if something was just kind of cut at the last minute. But anyway, this plot of this is that it's World War II. They have to parachute into a specific French village named Ville de Saint Capitulations, which I think is very funny because it's like the village of, or the village of Saint. Yeah, it's the village of Saint Capitulations, which is like a joke about them surrendering.
I like that how stupidly, annoyingly hard they go.
Yes.
On the like cheese eating surrender monkeys French stuff. It's like very, very funny because it's
so heavy-handed.
It's so heavy-handed, and it's not malicious. It's coming from, I think it's actually a smart parody of these types of military games that are very America forward and America centric and kind of jingoistic by their nature, because you're playing America as heroes in every other country, or either pure evil villains or just like fucking worthless losers that you have to save,
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Again, I think a lot of the writing in this is very good in this section. It's just the gameplay that just gets a little watered down.
I agree. I think the references too. Like, I think that they have young Abe and Burns and their sort of like hellfish sort of styles and everything. That definitely playing on that aspect of them. And like you have the Frenchman from Crepes of Wrath back in the first season of the show, which is like
wild.
Yeah, what a fun pull to include to them as just like tertiary characters in this.
It's so cool. Yeah, and so basically the premise is that you're trying to keep the French from surrendering. Then Burns says, "Hey, they have some, paintings that we can take to Switzerland or whatever." It turns out that after you do that, then you have to escort the truck that's carrying the paintings.
Hated that whole mission. I know people hate fucking escort missions. I'm not, they don't usually bother me that much. This one fucking sucked. My buddy would always be so fucking far behind.
Yeah.
It was just annoying. Like, it wasn't fun. I hated that section.
I will say what I learned because I did fail it the first time, the second playthrough of it, is that you can just get as far ahead of the truck as you want and just blow everything up that's coming up, and it doesn't respawn.
That's good.
Like that was what I learned, is you have to be really quick with the first couple, and then you can just move forward, and it kind of makes it like a little too easy.
Yeah, I wish I'd known that. I do like that they're like, you're never gonna run out of explosives because you never finished the game if you did.
Right.
So it's just unlimited. Like, all right, thanks.
It's very funny. It's super funny. And it's also, this was really weird, but you're taking them through a stretch outside of Jabba al Hut, Algeria.
Sure.
whatever.
References.
Yeah, I do like that they mention that they keep saying different things about the French paintings. Like I think Abe says at one point you're carrying a truck of priceless paintings of Bazooms, and then once you get to the next section, Abe calls the paintings, all the French paintings with all those luscious naked sweater melons.
So sweater melons.
It's just so funny. And then the last section of this, it does go on for so long. It shouldn't have 3 sections. Is you're on Burns' private aircraft carrier, which is manned by an army of, quote, muscular sailors that fight for neither God nor country. They fight for love. And then it turns out they're Smithers.
I think that's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I'm down with that. I like the decks have different names. I don't remember any of them except for Howard the Deck. I really like
that. Is the one I wrote down too.
I like that
of
one.
Of course. It's very good.
Oh yeah, I even see it that you have it in the notes there. I totally missed that. I also like the reference of like Burns when he's mad at the Simpsons. It's like Simpson. I'll have that name etched in my brain forever, which is funny given the running gag of him never remembering Homer's name. I think that's good. They don't go too hard on it, but like I like the little in jokes like that are fun.
Yeah, and even Smithers says something. I think Smithers has like some good lines. He says something about like go back to the future or something. Like just really random. And then when you defeat Burns, he says Rosebud is a cliche, but still, like it's just very funny.
Yeah. Oh, I like that the Frenchmen are celebrating, and Homer gets like a deep, passionate kiss from one of them.
Yes,
and there's no gay panic. He likes it. He's like, hee, your mustache tickles. I love it.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's very good. I appreciated that as well. I do feel like the ending of that section is just kind of like whatever, because then it's like Bart saying like I want to drink some wine. All the other kids are doing it, and it's just like a joke about kids drinking wine in France. Whatever.
The airship itself was fun though. I didn't mind that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite part of that whole section.
The level designs are cool. I think again, I think it would have been even.
Or not airship, aircraft carrier, a ship. Yes. With airplanes on it. And I called it an airship. I guess technically it's an airship. You know what I mean? Anyway, go ahead.
We do get an airship in this game.
That's true. Maybe I'm just thinking of the airship, actually. Anyway, go ahead.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's a very like kind of forgettable one. But again, that's not to say that it's not like in terms of writing and substance, it's still pretty cool that they do that. We should also note too, the whole impetus behind all of these video game parodies is that I think they're supposed to be in development potential Simpsons games in the future.
Which is to explain why the games are filled with Simpsons characters in these roles.
And also explains why like they're deleting the other ones and the Simpsons game could potentially be obsolete.
Right.
Because, you know,
because they have new ones coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yep. The next one up is NeverQuest, which is a parody of both EverQuest, maybe a little bit of World of Warcraft sprinkled in there, and the Lord of the Rings.
What a pretty level. I like the theme of fantasy.
Oh, I've got a fantasy. Now that we're finally away from those kids, we can, you and I get together all afternoon.
You're so bad. You're going to ruin this game's T for teen rating.
Help! Help! Someone save us! My ears are pointy.
Come on, Homer. We've got to save those midgets.
But Marge, I can't control myself. You're one sexy MILF.
The word is elf, and no snuggling till we do the right thing.
Oh, she's sexy Marge.
I really liked this one.
Yes.
I think this one's fun as hell.
This one rules. I think they felt very inspired by this
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I mean, it's a NeverQuest parody, but it's basically just like a bunch of Hobbit and Lord of the Rings jokes. Like
it is
more than anything.
And you can tell that like, oh, you guys are fucking nerds who love Lord of the Rings, and you're actually like putting that into this. No, I think it's great. I think it's great that it's Homer and Marge as well, because it basically just gets to be like the romantic getaway is this like medieval fantasy realm essentially. It's great.
It's so fun. I also really like that the Hobbits are all Rod, Todd, and Ralph. Like it's just like kids. It's good. It's very well done. But yeah, they basically get transported into a like idyllic Hobbit countryside village that's under attack by a 2-headed dragon that is Patty and Selma, essentially. Like it's Patty and Selma's heads on a dragon.
It's fun.
I also really like that they didn't try to make it like look good. It's literally just like a dragon bodies and Patty and Selma's heads.
It's so silly. I love it. I love all the designs in this one is fun. Even like I think Marge is in her same outfit that she is in the Marge Gamer episode. Funny enough, like she even is like an elf, and they have that line where Homer's like, "You're one sexy MILF." Like, no, the word is elf.
Yeah,
but they're so horny for each other in this whole level. It's so funny.
There's so, I mean, they say something about like there's a bunch of MILF. Marge has a line that she says, "Obey the MILF queen" at one point, which is so fucking good. I love that so much. I also love some of the lines from the Hobbits where they'll just say, "I am a killing machine. I feel good about myself." And then Ralph says at one point to Marge, or just about Marge, "You're married to Bart." It's just so silly.
Very silly.
But yeah, I mean, the plot of this is you start out, you have a quick battle against the dragons, and you have to make sure that the hobbit houses don't burn down. You then go to a dungeon, essentially, that's supposed to be behind a door that's locked by magic. One of my favorite jokes in the game.
Thanks for saving us, ugly grown-ups. Is there anything we can do to repay you?
You could tell us where to find the key card.
Or you could give us 5 minutes of privacy. 2 would be enough.
The object you seek is through this door, but it is sealed by magic.
No, it wasn't.
You have to go into this dungeon, but it's locked by magic. And Homer just literally kicks the door in and says, "No, it isn't."
It's good. It's so funny. It's so funny. Yeah. I think one of, as you see, there's some funny sign gags, obviously, throughout this whole game, but one of them that I liked in this level around this time was like for instead of Moe's Tavern, it's Mork's Tavern, like an orc, like Mork's Tavern, but then they're advertising live nude ball rocks.
Oh, hell yeah. This one, like, literally fires on all cylinders. The next one is good, too, but also has some problems. But, like, this one is, like...
It's perfect.
It's so perfect. My favorite alternate play style, however you want to call it, a, like, little game reference in this, is that at a certain point, when you're dungeon crawling, it turns into basically, like, Gauntlet. Like, it's a top-down Gauntlet or a... Diablo like style gameplay.
And Homer's like, "Oh no, the camera's going to overhead POV." And then Marge is like, "I don't get any of these references."
It's so good. And like the gameplay is like, I think the gameplay is a little bit hindered by it being overhead, but it still fucking rules. I love it so much. It's my favorite section.
I don't have a problem with the gameplay being worse just for it to look cool, like, and be a fun reference. Like, I love this shit. It's great.
Dude, me too.
Like, where are you going to see this in any other game, you know?
Yeah, you're not. And then the final battle is, it's basically just a one-to-one parody of the game Joust, where you're fighting against the dragon, Patty and Selma.
That was hard. I had to look up how to beat them. I had a really hard time with this one.
It was a little difficult, but it also is just, it's fun. This is where I'm like, man, the game really does kind of shine when they do like those two things, and I wish it happened more.
Yeah, I agree.
And also Obey the MILF Queen.
Obey the MILF Queen's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, no, I like.
And then the final little game parody section that we get is Big Super Happy Fun Game.
Okay, I'm in a stupid Japanese game, but I'm not eating sushi. Unless it's covered with chocolate and there's no sushi in it.
Greetings, naughty Earth livers. Welcome to the realm of Mr. Dirt. Isn't it splendid?
Knock it off, Millhouse. We know it's you.
Sorry, but I'm the king around here, guys, and you're gonna have to deal with it. Unless you want to be my queen, Lisa.
Thanks, but no thanks, Mr. Dirt.
But I'm so huge! And I'm the main bad guy of my own video game. Isn't anything good enough for you?
Hey, the girl said she's not interested. Beat it, loser!
A thousand thanks, Fat One and Return Nerd. Your quest is to defeat the evil Mr. Dirt, Scourge of the Daylands, and CEO of the most evil Ring Sha Corporation. He seeks to rid forest and field of Gaion energy.
And how would you describe this evil CEO's attitude toward the old ways and the traditions of your ancestors?
Most disrespectful!
Real original.
To defeat Mr. Dirt, you must travel to corners of our land and win back Sparklemon. Mr. Sparkle will join you with gate-opening power and a Sparklemon capturing ball.
No! Why didn't they render my inhaler?
Okay, so like I know that it is weird that they're in a parody of like, you know, game genres and specific games. They're basically just considering the country of Japan to be a game genre. I understand that is weird, and I understand that there's some not great representation in this level, and and it's a lot of Hank Azaria doing his voices. However, this level fucking rocks.
This level's great. It's good. It's one of my favorite levels.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's good. There's hordes of comic book guy as sumo wrestler just like rolling around.
Love it. And I love that like Lisa at one point is like making fun of like white people who are sumo wrestlers suck. Like, this is stupid. It's so funny.
It's like, it does have a little bit of like, it knows that it's like doing something that it probably shouldn't do some of the times, and it like points that out. So, but again, it is that like, we talked about it in the other section where it's like a little bit of like casual racism, but masked as like pointing it out.
And a lot of the sumo jokes are like really not nice either, and are very like hyper fat phobic and shit like that.
For sure.
And just like, like don't smell his diaper or whatever kind of shit like that. It sucks. But comic book guy as a sumo wrestler rolling at you is fucking fun and really cool. Yeah.
It's so good. And there's also different types of comic book buy. Oh my goodness.
Well, you do buy them.
Yeah. Comic book guy sumo wrestlers throughout the stages that you go into. There's fire ones, there's ice ones, there's like wind ones. I don't remember what each one does, but they at least look different, which is kind of fun.
With the ice one, I think Homer is like, if I licked you with my tongue, or if I licked you, my tongue would stick. Or maybe Lisa says it. Either way, if I licked you, my tongue would stick to like a sumo wrestler is just a fascinating thing to have been said in this video game.
It's so funny.
I'm here for it. It's just very interesting.
But yeah, so the premise is that you then free Mr. Sparkle, who has been trapped by Mr. Dirt. I don't get why the King of the Cosmos, Milhouse, is the Mr. Dirt. Whatever. Doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Dirt, because of Mr. Sparkle, he cleans things.
Yes, but it's also like, okay, but then why is he the King of the Cosmos from Katamari? Whatever.
Because they can have another reference in the level. That's literally all it is.
But he tells you that after you free him, he tells you that he's going to travel with you and he's going to unlock gates and help you catch Sparklemon, which does come into play. So you have, again, 3 different sections. Each one has, I guess you would call it like the gym leader, essentially, kind of the section, where you have to then battle Sparklemon against, it's Jimbo, Ralph, and then Sherry and Terry. So Jimbo is in the fire section, and his Sparklemon is Radichu. I loved this. I thought this was so freaking cool. I love the art style, like the splash screen when they show up to battle each other.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. So much to talk about this. Stop there for a second, because you mentioned the splash screen, what they look like. What do you think of Homer and Lisa's like anime video character designs?
I love it.
Level? It's so good, right?
I think
love
it's
the
so
way
good.
they do Lisa's hair. That it still looks like Lisa's hair, but just expanded a little bit to look like bigger anime hair, and fucking Homer's goggles and stuff. So great.
It's so good.
Yeah, and the art. Yeah, the art for like their like split screen or like entry screens, whatever you call them. The posing of them are really great. Like, they're just good pieces of art of these characters. I would love a whole poster that's just all Homer and Lisa's full body from this battle screen. It's so cool.
I love their designs. I think it's really cool. It's one of the, you do unlock costumes. Each level that you go into, you get different costumes and stuff like that, and you can unlock them by picking up, like, I think you have to pick up the like individual things for each character in those levels and not just beat it. I don't remember.
Okay.
But either way, they look dope as shit. Like, and I want more of that. I really do again, and I can't, I'm sorry to keep harping on this, but I wish that they had just had this more throughout the game. Like have like a turn-based battle segment throughout the game, because like if you're talking about like JRPGs and stuff like that and Pokemon and Final Fantasy and stuff like that, just instead of having like so many of the sumo guys you have to fight through, make it like points where you have like a random encounter pop up and you have to do like a turn-based battle.
Yeah, no, well, because I think for listeners who haven't played this, I think what makes it really cool is that it's a Pokemon parody in that they're catching Sparklemon, right? They're catching Sparklemon, and each of the people that they're fighting have a Sparklemon. So like Jimbo does have like his sort of I forget what is it, like a kind of a rat one, like kind of a Raichu rat attack kind of thing.
It's Ratachu.
Yep. Yeah. So it's like so you can picture what it looks like, but it's not just a Pokemon thing. It is also a little bit of like a Final Fantasy type battle system, because you, Homer and Lisa, with your superpowers in this turn-based thing, are fighting the creature. And like the way that the battle map or whatever is set up, I don't know what you'd call it, the battle screen, the way the battle screen is set up is more like a Final Fantasy game. And even the way like the screen menus are to pick your moves and stuff like that are very much are. And then you can do summons as well. Lisa summons Linguo and Homer summons a flying pig, which is just fucking cool. I love it. And they're fucking sick. Like it's really cool. And each creature does have like different strengths and weaknesses. Some of your moves work better or worse depending on who you're fighting. Like they did think through this. Like it's very simple, but they did think through it. And it's not just a direct parody of one thing. Like they mixed a handful of JRPG and turn-based RPG type things into this. Like it's really cool. And I agree with you. It feels frustrating that they put all this thought into this and had a really good setup, but then don't do it more than 3 times. And those 3 battles are really short.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the right number would be. I think that like if they did the whole section as just like random encounters, it would be kind of annoying and people would get frustrated with it, especially if it's like they're not going to have that many different Sparklemon or, fighting the sumo guys like that way, because people do hate random encounters in video games. Let's be clear. But I do think that there's a little bit more that they could have done with it. And I think they did so much of like, there's so much good art in these, like even the battle thing, the battle menu and the battle screen, even though it's like pretty simple, it feels very like designed, like super designed. It's so much different than anything else. I also love too, I mean, in these battles where it's like they play with a little bit like you don't ever level up, but your health goes up, and also the health of the monsters you fight go up. The attack damage feels very random. Like like when you're fighting against, I think Ratachu, like you're doing like hundreds of damage, hundreds in the triple digits, and then you're doing like thousands of damage in the next one against Ralph, which his Sparklemon is Turtle, Turdle, and it shoots out frozen poop. Yeah. It's a turtle that shoots out frozen poop.
It's like a Blastoise type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which is fine. And then you get to Sherry and Terry, and the HP for their Sparklemon is like 9 million. And you're dealing like, and your HP has also gone up significantly, and you're dealing like hundreds of thousands of damage. And it's like, it does feel very much like a Final Fantasy game where like the scaling of like the damage that you're dealing, it's like at a certain point in the game, you're just like, 9999, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like you reach the damage cap. And also their Sparklemon is Dirty Donkey, and it's a donkey unicorn.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just really cool shit, man.
It's cool shit.
And such a fun surprise. Like like all the platforming and stuff of this level is like good and fun and like pretty standard stuff, but like this, like the end of each level being these turn-based battles are so cool, and like they could have been done so badly, but they're not. They are really, really, I think, well done, and just really fun to play.
Yeah. I like it. I like this stage a lot. There are some problematic elements, but I like this whole stage. I also love, so the last one before you get to Sherry and Terry, you do actually board an airship, which like feels very like quintessential like JRPG. To me, and it does look like an airship, like straight out of like Final Fantasy X as well, which is really cool.
It really does. No, I like that section a lot. That was really, really fun. You have to like keep the engines running so it doesn't crash while enemies are coming after you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Yeah. I like that. Of course, there's like Godzilla references, but they don't go very hard on it. But like there's one point where like Godzilla is just like on ice, like frozen in an area.
Oh, I don't know
And,
if I saw that.
Yeah, like in the ice area, like there's a Godzilla. I think you could just like smash the wall and then see Godzilla exposed and just frozen there, which like Godzilla has been frozen in ice in Godzilla movies before. That's like canonical. But I kind of like that they don't go the easy route and just have like a kaiju fight or whatever in it. Cause like they do more creative things that are based in Japanese video games rather than just a hodgepodge of Japanese media, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. A really just like gem of a stage in this one. And again, it's, I think it's another thing where like they could have just expanded these levels more, like make you have to go through like, you know, a couple different times or go like to different places as opposed to having some of the middle section of this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I also like too when Milhouse is defeated and like loses his powers, like he gets the, "Oh, my glasses."
Yeah.
Like, classic reference. Like
the Sparklemon just beat him up.
I think so. Yeah. Which is just yeah. They find clever ways to get Simpsons references into this game sometimes, and I appreciate that.
I also think I don't remember what it's called, but essentially the Pokeball that they have looks really cool in this too.
Yeah, it does.
Like I'd love to see that as like a designed like Pokeball, but
yeah.
Anyway. So after that, you have gone through all of the video game parodies and collected all the key cards. This is where the smooth Simpsons are able to unlock the gate to the creator's mansion, who is revealed to be dun 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 dun.
I bet our creator is like 1,000-foot Godzilla with big boobs and he breathes fire snot.
Think again. Your creator is TV's most beloved animation visionary.
Seth MacFarlane?
Ah! Say hello to my little friends.
Aw, snap!
Matt Groening.
I love when the secretary is like, "Yes, Mr. Groening, it's graining. Are you sure?" No. He's so defeated he doesn't even know how to pronounce his name. It's great.
It's very fun. Yeah, what did you think when Matt Groening showed up? Were you expecting that at this point?
I figured it would be a cameo. I didn't expect this to be to this extent because he is a fully voiced boss in this game. I think that's really cool. And it does make sense. I do think like it is correctly built up too, because this game gets more and more metatextual as it goes along. And if they end up wanting to see the creator, it would make sense for it to be Matt. And not that I'm surprised that Matt would be game to doing something like this, but he does really commit to it. And gets to do way more than he's ever done in any of his cameos that he's ever had. And I like it. I think it's really, really, really funny. I think their use of him is really, really funny.
It is.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of stuff to talk about with this, but like, the fact that they do some of the obvious jokes, but then they work of like referencing Seth MacFarlane and making him mad. Like, I'm not Seth MacFarlane. Fuck that guy.
It's so good. And I also I love how that is introduced too, because it's Homer who says to him, like, the whole line is Bart saying, "I bet you our creator is like a 1,000-foot Godzilla with big boobs and he breathes fire snot." To which Matt turns around and says, "Think again, your creator is TV's most beloved animation visionary." And Homer says, "Seth MacFarlane?"
And I think doesn't Homer also say like, "Oh, our creator looks like a grad student."
Yes. It's so good. And also like, it's surprised, like listeners probably wouldn't be surprised to know this because we would have mentioned it if it happened before, but this is his first appearance in a Simpsons video game, Matt Groening's, which like is crazy to me. Like,
I guess, yeah, you'd think he would have showed up at like Virtual Springfield or something in a cameo at the very least.
Even if it's not him, like it's not him himself, it's not Matt Groening himself, it's him just doing a voice. Like you would think that would have happened at some point,
surprising.
You know?
So they kind of owed it to him to make this like a very expansive level. I mean, there's a lot of good jokes in here. I think before you fight him, there's the lawyer level that I think is really, really hard. I had a really fucking hard time that level where it's like Matt is living in this like huge mansion that's like there are piles of money everywhere. Like they go hard on him being like one of the richest men on earth because we created The Simpsons. And like you're stopped by a bunch of lawyers who are just really fucking, they are so hard to beat. They take so much and they throw pencils at you that will kill you instantly. It seems like sometimes.
Yeah. I do love some of their lines. I'll turn you into a habeas corpus and ow, my lawyer head.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it is fun to get into his house. You have to play like to I guess it's the doorbell, but there's like these like platforms and it all like they all play notes and you have to play basically Simon, but it's the Simpsons theme song to get into his mansion.
Yeah, I thought that was cute. I thought it was very cute.
And then after you get into his mansion,
dude,
this was the biggest surprise to me. Like he draws Bender and Zoidberg and throws the paper, and Bender and Zoidberg show up in the game as enemies.
And it's Billy West and John DiMaggio voicing them. They get a bunch of funny fucking lines. Bender even says exterminate in like Dalek voice at one point, which I fucking loved. But then they start making fun of Futurama while they're fighting them, because a lot of the Simpsons lines are like, you were too weird for network TV, because this was during the point where they had been canceled. And like Bender's big score of the DVD is only just now coming out this year. So like they're making fun of, Futurama having not been able to last, which is like, it was true. They didn't get great ratings on Fox, unfortunately. And then to Zoidberg, I forget who says it. Maybe it was Bart saying, "You're my least favorite Billy West character." So good.
It's so good.
Yeah, this wasn't Futurama, but you even get like Akbar and Jeff can't save you now. They say to Matt at one point from his Akbar and Jeff comics.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that. I mean, this is this is such a good ending for this game. I feel like is like them encountering Matt Groening. Only it's not the ending of the game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The fact that there's like a Life in Hell reference, like in this, it feels very that and Futurama and Matt himself makes it feel very like maybe not full circle, but feel very it feels very complete. I agree with you. This feels like a really kind of satisfying like way to be acknowledging that this game was all about the entire history of not just The Simpsons, but everything connected to it, like Futurama and Life in Hell and Matt Groening, like sort of wrapped up in that universe. It's just such a really fucking cool, clever thing to do.
It's really cool. I started to get inklings of like who the creator was going to be when they started mentioning it. But yeah, like you said, I wasn't expecting it to be as big of a deal in the game as it was. Like, I was expecting for them to go talk to Matt Groening and like that be it. But like for him to be a boss,
they let him be like a mean villain too. Like he hates them. Perfect. He's so mad at them. I think they even like they continue to have like references to the video game sucking and stuff like that. But he gets to be like a cackling video game boss. Then once they like beat him, he gets to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't realize all the video games would suck so much. If only I'd known, I wouldn't have put your faces in these crappy video games. I just would have stuck your faces on." And then he lists a long list of like random products, like mugs and t-shirts and shit. Like it's just self-deprecation is not alien to Matt Groening, like, and his stuff, but I do appreciate the level at which they go for it and make it clear that a lot of Simpsons stuff fucking sucks. And like, you have absolutely monetized the shit out of your product. Like it's very, I like it. It's very good.
It's so good. Also, fluffy beach towels. Favorite thing that he says is he when he does that long list, the last thing he says is fluffy beach towels. But yeah, so again, this would have been a great ending for the game, I thought, but the game doesn't end here. He hits a video game engine self-destruct button, dooming all video games in development and I guess the Simpsons game itself. They all have to kind of rush back. And I do love before he leaves on his Matt Groening helicopter, he signs like the screen Matt Groening. Very
good.
funny.
That's good.
They head back. The only portal that lets them come through is the one back to presumably Springfield and the Simpsons game, and all of the video game characters kind of make their way back in.
Yeah, so like you have them just hang out in their living room with like Sonic and Mario and like the Otto Wraith from the Quest game.
Yep.
Like it's so funny.
I think one of the Madden characters too, like you see at some point.
So weird.
Springfield is still under attack from the aliens because of course it is. And Marge notes that all that is left is to pray to God, which gives Lisa the idea that, yes, they do need to talk to God, and she's going to use her hand of Buddha power. Let's ignore the implication of using the Buddha power to then talk to the Christian God, whatever, to build a tower to God.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Look, you know what? A lot of video games do this thing that I think is colloquially called like video game cutscene segregation, right? Where like a character might have really great powers, but then in the cut, like to play it and make playing the game fun, but then you get to the cutscene and it's like, well, narratively we have to have someone fall off a cliff and they can't save them, so they can't use their super jump ability, so like they are not as powerful in the cutscene. I appreciate that this game avoids that by acknowledging that Lisa has super Buddha powers where a giant hand comes from the sky and moves like shit around. So the cutscene, of course, she has a giant hand from the sky move buildings around to build a tower to God. I do think that that's pretty clever, that it's sort of like, yeah, she does have this power. We have established it. You've used it. Why can't she just build a tower to heaven? I guess.
But also, like, I also think, like, it would have been cool if you, the player, was able to move all the buildings in Springfield to make a giant tower.
I do agree with that. I think that that's a missed. I do think that also is sort of like you were on a time crunch and could not build another level of you building a tower. Yeah, I think that's probably a big part of what it is.
So, okay, they build a tower to heaven. They go to heaven. They're met at the pearly gates by Shakespeare, which is funny. I think that's funny.
Who's there? Stand and unfold yourself.
Hey, what's the big idea? Let us through.
Dad, I think that's Shakespeare. You know, the Bard of Avon.
Ooh, I love Avon.
I pray thee cease thy counsel, which falls into mine ears as profitless as water in a sieve.
Enough of the John Grisham fancy talk, Mustachio.
Meet Yorick, a fellow of infinite death!
He's like, the Bard of Avon, and Marge is like, ooh, I love Avon.
Yeah. Oh my God. Also, I love his lines. All the world's a stage for me to whoop your asses. It's very good. He has a lot of great quips.
Yeah. I do love that you get to just fight Shakespeare in this game. It's great.
Why not?
You fight Ben Franklin too at some point, don't you?
Oh, yes, you do. You make your way all the way to where I guess the gate to God's house is, and there is a Skybucks, which is parodying Starbucks, outside of it, and Ben Franklin just happens to be walking out of the Skybucks at that time, and you have to have a fight with Ben Franklin.
Wow, Benjamin Franklin, you are my intellectual hero. Please, please let us pass so we can talk to God.
No way, Lisa. You're a bigger butt kisser than Thomas Jefferson. Up here, I'm judge, jury, and executioner. It's time you all learned that heaven can be a hell of a place.
And I will say, too, you've been killing characters all throughout this game. They're in heaven. You are fighting the same people you fought before, the same, like, mooks you fought before. Also, you are playing all 4 Simpsons characters in this one. You can control everyone.
This part's really cool. There's also some really fun stuff to find in heaven. Like there's an arcade that you can find, and there's like some arcade cabinets and stuff like that. You can't play any of them. I think that the platforming and figuring out what you were supposed to do in this level was a little frustrating for me, but I might just be stupid. I don't know.
I had a hard time with it, but I mean, eventually, I think it's, I don't know. It did make me feel like I wish that you could have played the whole family for more of the game. But I also can see why that would have been really challenging for them because their powers are so distinct. Because this level, I feel like I didn't really understand. I feel like there's probably multiple ways to do multiple things in this level, and it made it a little bit confusing, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But it was cool being able to play all of them. And the world is big and wide and has enough stuff in it that it was a fun one to play all of them in.
Yeah, I think it made sense for that to be how the game ends, of being able to play all the characters. I don't know if it made sense for it to be in heaven, but whatever.
I'm not mad about it. I think this game's already ridiculous at this point. I do think I do like how they escalate so far of like, what if the Simpsons attack and dethrone God? I think that's fucking incredible.
So you do make your way. The final boss battle is against God, and it's revealed that he is just kind of a loner loser gamer.
Oh my, God's not setting a very good example.
No wonder you never hear about God having a girlfriend.
Is someone there? I don't have any money.
God, it's the Simpsons here. You've been playing with our lives, and we'd like you to stop. Our town, family, and friends are all suffering.
Yeah, God, you used to be cool.
Just because I'm a gamer doesn't mean I'm not cool. Your uneasy looks have brought my disfavor, you bunch of jerks.
I fucking love this, actually. I think that's kind of genius.
It's cool. It is cool. It is just one of those things that's still like a little bit of head scratcher to me. I love everything about it. Like, I think it's funny as shit. Like, they also have to play DDR against God on the PlayStation, the Exodus box, and the HII.
I love it. I don't know. Maybe I feel like I'm higher on all of this than you are. I think that it's so ridiculous, but like this whole game has been this like meta on meta levels.
Yeah.
That like it feels to me like it's a pretty natural escalation to just get to God, and then another, they've already done these forays into different gameplay styles. DDR is a very popular gameplay style, doing a version of DDR, and I do think it is probably the funniest possible connection of, if you're going to play a game against God, of all games you could play, it's fucking DDR to play against him. I think that that's really cool. And then the way that you get to go through different eras of like game console parodies as you're fighting God in this meta game. Like it all makes sense to me, because this whole narrative isn't like super sensical. I think in terms of what they're doing, I like what other game could you do something like this in?
No, it's fair. And I do, again, it's one of those things that like, I like it, but there's also part of me that's like, it would have made more sense to have just ended it with the matte graining piece of it, if you're making it all about like the video game aspect of it. But I do think it like, they get into this really like, I appreciate that they get into this like heady philosophical like headspace about like, okay, so the Simpsons game is a mini game in a game that God created called The Planet Earth.
Yeah, I like how he describes it. It's sort of like, you can get out of a car door, you can have a family. Like that's how great and detailed the Earth game is.
I also really kind of do think it's clever the way it's explained that the manual ends up, because Bart's like, well, hold on a second. If that's the case, then why did you give me the manual to the game? Like, that just messes everything up. To which God is like, oh, that was just an accident, because he went to look something up in the manual and then throws it out the window.
Yeah.
Which is like,
I like how just
I like it.
Yeah, it's just all kind of silly and stupid and doesn't matter. I also like that he's like, I even put in a full authentic fossil history into my Planet Earth game just for the nerds. It's just fucking great. Like I love this shit. I think this is great.
It's good. You're right. It is good. I'm being a little like, I'm not like being, it's more just kind of like, I'm coming around on it. I'll say that.
I think also The Simpsons has had God in the show multiple times at this point. So it's like it established, like it is the Simpsons version of God that has an established character that's showing up. Like, I also think that lends some justification to him showing up here too.
Yeah, for sure. I do like that they're like, he basically says that the Simpsons family are computer characters designed by computer geeks in cubicles to be controlled by other computer geeks in their bedroom. But then he goes on to say like, but they're also computer like characters. So it also is like, I think there is like, I mean, I don't know. I think you could probably do like a whole thesis on like the metatextual elements of this game and like theology and stuff like that, of like, it's all everything's just a big game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
well, and I don't think I know some of what you're getting to in that, like, this game for a lot of it is trying to say something about the nature of like, games becoming obsolete and how we sort of treat how the gaming industry treats gaming in a way that sort of devalues the art form, and like kind of the biting the hand that feeds you type of stuff with like EA and gaming corporations and things like that. Like, it does have things to say, and the God aspect of it does kind of muddy that a little bit, because it doesn't really play into that. It's just more like, I don't know, the ultimate, like, just you're kind of talking to the ultimate game developer, I guess, and looking at the world we live in through the lens of what if God is just basically a game developer who kind of sucks. I think that those two things don't line up. I think it's more that this game isn't trying to say just one thing. I think it's trying to say a lot of different things that don't necessarily conflict and aren't all fully formed, and some feel more like relevant to life than others. I think it is just ultimately a product of this game just doing a lot, period, Yeah,
and I think that's more where like I come down on like, but if the rest of the game, I think here's what I'll say is, I think if the rest of the game was more streamlined, I think this doesn't feel as weird to me as it does, because like it just feels like there's so much happening in this game throughout. And
That's
like
true, yeah.
also to the point where like even like again, the alien subplot where like at the end the aliens are still attacking, but then Lisa just builds the tower to God, and like it doesn't matter that the aliens are even there.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and then God could just be like, aliens are gone now because I'm God. Like,
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like, but they were already. It felt like they were already kind of go. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of stuff like that I think like if everything else was more streamlined, getting to this point feels more rewarding because there's so much just like stuff that feels so random throughout the game. You know what I mean?
If you want a connection to the Simpsons movie, I think that's your connection to it. But because both are things that just throw a lot of stuff at the wall, and just are packed with tons of little things and subplots and ideas and concepts, and that rather than sort of paring them down to like one vision, it just ends up being a compilation of everything. And in a game, I think it's even like a movie at the very least, they were fitting it into like an hour and 28 minutes. In a game, obviously it's a much wider space that you're dealing in, which means that I do think when there's just a lot of stuff thrown into it, you feel it a lot more than you necessarily do when you're watching the Simpsons movie.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like, I know I'm sounding like I'm being pretty critical on it, and I am, but I also think this is, like, a pretty high achievement for Simpsons games. Like,
I love this game. I think this game rules. It's got flaws.
It's good.
I think it's a really good game and, like, a top-tier Simpsons game, and I think it's a real bummer that it's not talked about more. I think only because of the saturation of video games at the time that it came out. And being overshadowed by that, and then just the movie itself, honestly, probably in the cultural conversation. I think this game is really, really, really good on the scale of the Simpsons games. But I think even if just like for comedic video games, I think it really nails that. This is a really fucking funny game that's very fun to play. And y'all know on this podcast, I don't finish these games most of the time. I fucking finished this game very quickly because I didn't want to stop playing it because it was very, very fun.
Yeah, it is very fun. I think I think that like it nails the brief for like everything that like we like when we're setting out and we're talking about like how does this stack up as a Simpsons game. I think it probably more than any other game, and I would even say including Hit and Run, it has more of the elements in it that like you would expect from a Simpsons video game. Now, we can have the conversation. We don't need to do this about which is better, Hit and Run or this game. I think they're both fine games, and I think they both do things well and do things correctly and do very good Simpsons things. I think this one is more, especially in this era, what you would expect like from a long Simpsons story. Right. Like, I think this more meets the expectations, especially for writing and things like that. I think it probably falters a little bit more in the gameplay, because I do think some of the gameplay is a little frustrating in this game in terms of like, and people have talked about this, like the camera and stuff like that, you know, whatever.
I think,
but like,
yeah,
it's minimal. It's minimal enough that like, if you're looking to play a Simpsons game, like there's no reason that you shouldn't play this game.
Yeah. And I think too, there is a level of variety in the gameplay too,
Yeah.
that makes it kind of harder to fault it for the things that don't work as well. Like, I do think a lot of the item collection stuff and is still annoying, and I still think it's weird that you can only play 2 characters at a time for the majority of this game and stuff like that, and they don't give Marge enough to do gameplay wise either. But I think that the good qualities vastly outweigh any of the flaws in that gameplay and problems with it. It's a fun time most of the time.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that it coming out so close to the movie actually hurts this game? And the reason I'm thinking about that is the movie does so well. Like, we talked about how well the movie does, and so many people are seeing it and buying the DVD, that part of me wonders, I'll posit this, that if it had come out like maybe a year later, that like you have like people who were really into the movie, and then now you don't have the movie anymore. Now you have the game as kind of like now you have this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, actually. As I was saying, it wasn't just overshadowed by other games 2007. I think it was overshadowed a bit by the Simpsons movie, because I think people were so surprised and excited and impressed by that movie that all the conversation was around that. And I think what people did after they watched the movie and really liked it, especially if they were coming back to The Simpsons after a long time or didn't like the show anymore and hadn't watched for a while and then saw the movie and liked it. They weren't then immediately being like, I need more Simpsons, therefore I'm going to play the video game that came out. They're like, I need more Simpsons, therefore I'm going to rewatch the movie, buy the DVDs for the previous seasons and rewatch those, or watch the show on Sunday nights on Fox. Like, they're going back to the show.
Yeah.
They're not jumping to the Simpsons video game. I do agree with you. If there's a little more space, then there's like a little bit of a rest period after the movie, where people are sort of like, I'm back into The Simpsons again. Oh, cool. There's another Simpsons game coming out. I'll check that out now, you know?
Well, and I also do think it's probably, I mean, it helps that, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why it ends up like a better selling game in like the UK. It does better, I think, than we expected it to do as a game.
Sure.
Because of like hit and run. And I think hit and run both helps and hurts this game, because a lot of people wanted like hit and run 2 from this game, which this game is not.
No.
And that's okay. But like, I think that's what people wanted and were expecting. And then when they heard, you know, or saw what the Simpsons game was, and it wasn't hit and run 2, that probably hurt, but also it's probably helped because hit and run was so good and well received.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword for that, because you're never going to make everybody happy in that case. Like, I mean, the ideal should have been they just did both and just did hit and run 2 and did the Simpsons game. But but I think it's a bummer, because if you're looking for hit and run 2, you're not going to get it. But I also don't think hit and run should be the apex of what a Simpsons game can be either. So we should take this moment to mention that there was actually a planned sequel to the Simpsons game. There was a Simpsons Game 2 that was at least in development or announced, because they canceled it in 2011 along with the Wii port of Dead Space 2. And they basically canceled it to make room for just other projects. So I don't know. They probably just didn't see the money in it at that time, especially in 2011. And they just, you know, figured that they could just reallocate some funds for other games that they were working on. I don't know that I fault them for that decision, because probably whatever else they released instead was probably a better seller than a Simpsons Game 2 would have been. And also, like, narratively, I don't know where you go from here with
what
do you
do?
2. Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know what I actually think would have been interesting is if Simpsons Game 2 became more of an exploration of like other, like, I don't know, other TV shows, other like anime, like, I don't know. There's like a world where like they probably could have done something with like, you know, other shows like eclipsing the Simpsons or other games. I don't know. I think that there is a storyline there.
Yeah.
But like, you're right. Like, if your narrative has you going to battle God, like, where do you go from there?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I do like this one overall, though. And I do think the idea that you play DDR with God while rock me like a hurricane plays is kind of incredible.
It's great. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. Again, I don't necessarily have problems with this stuff. It's more just like how you get to it that like, I'm like, it feels a little messy. But no, I think this is a good one. I think that like you said, this is a top tier Simpsons game, and I think I think they would just be printing money if EA somehow was able to do a dual, like, you know, release, kind of like what they did with the Super Mario 3D All-Star or Mario 3D All-Stars, where they had Super Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. They put them together on a disc for the Switch, and they released that for like the anniversary. Like, we're coming up on the anniversary for this game. Like, put the Simpsons game and hit and run together on a disc, release it for $60, and I bet you people will buy it.
I think so too, actually.
I would hate to buy it for $60, but I would do it if they released it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
yeah, and if they did like a couple of quality of life improvements, I would play it. I would try to replay them for that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I would definitely. Yeah. I mean, it would be great, but
yeah,
I don't know if that's necessarily in the cards. But we'll see. I mean, anything's possible at this point. So
yeah.
But I think that does it for today's episode. On our next episode, I mean, this is really the last actual big Simpsons game that releases. There's one more big one after this, but our next episode, we're actually going to be talking about a handful of EA mobile games, like true mobile games. Minutes to Meltdown and Itchy and Scratchy Land, both of which were released by EA. And we'll probably spend a little bit of time talking about EA at that point because I think it makes sense.
I wonder how many listeners have played those games, much less heard of them.
Oh, I'm sure not many. But hey, you can actually still play them, and I'll be sure to link. Yeah, I'll be sure to link.
I was hoping you'd tell me, like, you don't have to play anything this time, Derek, because they're unplayable. Fuck, I'm gonna have to play them.
Minutes to Meltdown is so short, Derek. You'll be able to finish this one, I promise.
Okay, great.
So,
love it.
But if our ideas are intriguing to you and you wish to subscribe to our newsletter, be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we are at Simpsons Gaming Pod. You can also email us questions, corrections, or just Simpsons quotes you really like at simpsonsgaming@gmail.com. You can also follow us each individually. Derek, where can folks find you and all of the great stuff you're working on?
Yeah, you can find me most places at Derek B. Gale. My other podcasts include Walloping Websnappers, where we do deep dives into Spider-Man cartoons, Skreeonk, where we look at the Godzilla films, Falling with Style, where we looked at Pixar films, and Gimmicks, where we look at high concept episodes of television. And if you are listening to this episode right when it drops, the week prior, like literally 1 week ago, we dropped a bonus episode that Tommy guested on because it was on the Simpsons America's Most Wanted, not really crossover. We talk about it. Basically, one big commercial for both of those shows called Springfield's Most Wanted. That was a tie-in to the Who Shot Mr. Burns event. So check that out on Gimmicks, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah. As for me, I am at Awkward Comma. You can check out my other show, Distant Echoes, a Star Wars podcast, where my partner Cass and I watch each episode of every Star Wars TV series in whatever order we please. We are currently watching the brand new Maul Shadow Lord show again, if you're watching this when it's dropping, and that show fucking slaps. It's so good. Check out those episodes because we're having a blast. This podcast, of course, is also a proud member of the Glitterjaw Podcast Collective. If you're looking for other queer media podcasts, you can check out the full roster of Glitterjaw shows at glitterjaw.com. Needle Drop. Our incredible theme music was recorded by the band whose name you'd love to touch, but you mustn't touch. That's right. It's Max Power. A few of those dudes are also in a Taylor Swift cover band called Taylor's Version. Absolutely go give them a follow. They are Taylor's Version VA on social. And of course, as always, remember to tell your parents to listen to Lee Carvallo's potting challenge, or
obey the MILF Queen, or go to hell.
Go to heaven in this sense.
Oh, actually, yeah, go to heaven.
Obey the MILF Queen and go to heaven.
Yep. That's what this game teaches us.
Go to heaven, everyone.